Hey, onesies, Josh Williams here, and thanks for checking out this week's episode of the One Man Podcast. It's always free and available on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, and many more, as well as on the web at onemanpodcast.com. So please, whatever platform you're listening on, like and subscribe. While you're at it, give it a rating, leave a review. Why? Because it helps the podcast, and I'd really appreciate it. How about that? What about social media? Search One Man Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube to keep up with what's going on there, get a little extra content for yourself. And finally, to get in touch, please send your emails to contact@onemanpodcast.com. You send it, I read it on the podcast. That's the deal. Thanks for listening, guys, and I hope you enjoy this week's episode.
What's up, everybody? This is DJ Demers from Conan O'Brien and America's Got Talent, and you are listening to the One Man Podcast.
Yeah!
Hey, it's Josh Williams here, and welcome to the One Man Podcast, episode number 128 for Wednesday, October 23rd, 2019. How's it going, onesies? Did you guys have a good week? Huh? Has everything been good to you? My Canadian listeners, did you guys enjoy the election results? Or were you mad? Were you mad because your guy is going to do the right thing and everything he said he was going to do, and this new person maybe that you didn't want? Well, he's a liar. This guy's a liar. I don't know. I really don't care about the election too much, which makes me sound ignorant. But if you've been listening to this podcast, you already know that's a thing. So we're going to go right ahead with that. This week, I'm joined by a very, very good friend of mine who, through the magic of this podcast, we have rekindled our friendship. My buddy Matt, all the way from Dartmouth.
Hey, what's going on?
I was going to say Halifax, but you're not. It kind of is. It's like the Gatineau of Halifax.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Which for any international or American listeners, or even other people in the country, have no idea what that is. Like, I don't know what that is. Think, maybe Detroit, Windsor. There's a little international across the river kind of thing. So anyways, my point with that, guys, is I get to hang out with my buddy this week. I'm going to tell you guys about two different activations, actually three different activations since I last spoke to you. I did Canadian Blood Services. I did something for EGLX in Toronto, and then I did a Pizza DoorDash promo for Election Day. That was fun too. So I'll tell you guys all about that. But I even picked up some Infinity bottles and a few more bottles of Scotch, some Scotch whiskey. I'll tell you guys all about that. Right? It's always fascinating. So I'm glad Matt's here. Matt, as I wanted to talk about this real quick. I was talking with somebody yesterday about this, and you and I mean, we're the same age. You're 36 now too?
37.
37.
Just
okay.
turned in October.
Just turned. Oh man.
Yeah.
Really? This month?
October 4th.
Really? Happy belated. Did I send you a Facebook happy birthday?
I think you did, actually.
I try to do that every...
You definitely did.
That's like a new policy of mine, is I try to, as much as it's just Facebook, I try to start my day by not getting out of bed and looking at my social media for 45 minutes. No. I will click the home button, and then I try to wish everybody a happy birthday whose birthday they choose to identify, and just be like, hey, just that way. It's nice. It's nice on your birthday when like 400 people will send you happy birthdays. You're like, they don't care, but it's nice to look at.
Important. Yeah.
Right. The thing is, I was talking with somebody about this recently about how, I would say that we were first friends. Like you were like the first best friend I can think of from way back in the day. Like you're one of the few people on this planet who's actually seen me skinny.
Thanks, man.
But you know what I mean? Like, because back in the day, we were both pre-internet kids. We would run around a neighborhood. There wasn't internet. All right. We sound like old men, but just for all of you, maybe, because you only have to be 25 to be like, I don't remember a time without the internet. Right? Like 25-year-olds are like, oh, I've seen. Listen, you were making memories around the time that the internet was out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we didn't even have cell phones back then. So.
No cell phones. And I mean, like, so somebody I was talking to a long time ago had made this point, and I think there's a lot of truth to it. Is like that they said that nowadays that people don't have like the best friend. Like they have lots of really good friends and they have lots of best friends. But in terms of like that one person that you would like hang out with in the neighborhood or whatever, like every day it was like you two hanging out or whatever. It's because you weren't connected to all your other friends all the time. You couldn't like just jump on your cell phone like, hey man, what are you doing? You want to hang out? Like if you weren't able to use the phone because your older sister was on it 14 hours a day or whatever it was, like there wasn't two lines. I remember when it was fancy when you had like call waiting, like, you guys have two lines? Wow. You mean someone can actually get a hold of you if someone else is already on the phone? Technology, man. But I just remember like there was no like, oh, let's hang out, let's play Call of Duty. Like there's so many ways to hang out with your friends now without ever being anywhere near them. You know what I mean? They can play video games together. You can FaceTime or Snapchat. Like there's so many ways to stay connected to all these people. But back when we were kids, The option was go hang out with your buddy. Go do the whole, like, it was so funny. Now someone can call someone and they get their voicemail. Like, you'd have to run and knock on the door and, like, maybe they would answer. Like, there was, like, 2 steps of disappointment that could happen if you were trying to hang out with your buddy. You know what I mean? Like, there's the knock on the door.
Yeah.
Then you wait. Like, that was stage 1. 1 could be just nobody's home. Bummer. You know what I mean? I put pants on for this. I ran through the rain. And then stage 2 would be like, your mom answers the door and it's like, is Matt it? No, he's not here today. They're like, oh.
Well, do you know where he might
Yeah,
be? Well,
yeah.
I think he's at this person's. Okay, I'm going to try there.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
You head there and you kind of got to like track your friend down the whole day. And then when you do finally meet up, it's like, dude.
Yeah,
what's
what have you
up,
done
man?
all day? It's like,
Yeah.
I was trying to find you too.
Yeah.
Right
All
now,
right.
now
Yeah.
everyone can find their friends app and you can text
Yeah.
someone. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter where you are. You're connected to me. Where the fuck were you? Why are you ghosting me?
That's
There was
right.
no ghosting when you're a kid. You're like, yeah, he's just not here. You
Yeah.
tried a location and failed.
That's
Right?
right.
It's like a mystery. Like, nope. Like, choose your own adventure, right? I'm going to
Yeah.
try this one. Shit, he's not here. Well, back to another option. But I'm just saying that's a different dynamic than what's in the world now. Like, my kids don't not know where their friends are. They text or Snapchat or whatever it is. I'm just saying we came from a simpler time, buddy, and we had fun. We had fun
had
back
a
in the
great
day.
time. Like to me, I almost feel like, it was, well, now technology kind of makes things, I don't want to say boring, but like as a kid, like, I mean,
Too easy?
yeah.
Like there's like you didn't earn it?
Yeah, I mean, just being able to actually go out and get exercise and be in the sun and hang with your friends and, get on your bikes and leave from early in the morning, like 9 a.m. in the morning, and don't come home until the sun goes down. Be home for dinner, your mom would say, and you come home and you get up the next day and do it all over again. To me, that was the best. Not sitting on fucking whatever gaming console you're playing. Nothing against that, but I mean, just being able to actually get out and interact with people face to face, that was something special. So
Yeah.
I think kids these days are missing that, just getting out and, scraping your knees up and being boys or,
Yeah. Oh, they're definitely overprotected now too.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing too. When we were kids, I mean, I don't recall losing a ton of friends to like child predators and stuff. Like how long the white van was still a thing when we were
white
kids.
van. What is it about the white van?
I think that, if you want to stop pedophilia, I think that instead of trying to pretend like, oh, it's Amber Alerts and all this, I stopped selling white vans.
Yeah.
The white van or paint it.
Yeah.
Paint it. As we speak, a white van. Now it's a City of Ottawa one. So maybe
that is-
maybe they're the real culprits.
True story. No.
A white van drives by as we talk about it. They're like, they're onto us. Just shut this fucking guys. This podcast may never come to light. We might get shut down right now. It's not even connected to the internet. How the fuck did they figure?
Yeah.
But it's I just think like, when we were kids, there was still the don't talk to anyone. A white van was spotted.
Yeah.
Smear campaign on white vans.
That's
but,
right.
But all I'm saying is I didn't know anyone. We didn't lose anybody back then.
No.
But now it's like it's like getting it's like licking something that fell on the ground just to build up your immune system. Now everyone's like, don't touch this hand sanitizer. Everyone's God, I definitely sound like I was gonna say there's no peanut allergies when we were kids. Or if
Right.
there was, those people died and we were all able to enjoy peanut butter in school.
Yeah. Well,
We were allowed to have lazy parents that made PB&J and sent us to school with it. They were allowed to nurse a hangover. Now it's like, nope, you got to have litterless lunches. And do you guys have that in Dartmouth?
litterless lunches. No.
That's where you can't send your kids to school with anything that would have litter. So like, how we would get a granola bar in our lunch? You can't have that now because when you take the wrapper off, that's litter. So
What
your
the
lunch,
heck?
dude, it's a thing.
So everything Tupperware, essentially.
Yep. Everything Tupperware. And of course you can't have peanuts or anything like that because peanuts kill 2 kids. Those sickly kids. The ones you can see their rib cage through their jacket.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. We're not going to change anything with it, but it's just funny to me that there's so many different types of things that we could get away with kids. And I know that our parents thought even worse. Like, you could go out. No one even cared if you came back. They had 19 kids. They could afford to lose one.
Yeah.
They were doing well.
Yeah.
You can go into overdraft one because you got 19, 18 more.
Yep.
They probably wouldn't even notice for like 6. That's why like the missing person for 24 hours. Like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Just keep doing head counts.
Are they just being rebellious? Did they actually run away? Did
Yeah.
you piss them off somehow?
Yeah.
Like,
Are you sure?
How old are they?
Yeah. Did you even count them right? Maybe they are all at the table and you just missed one.
Yeah.
That's a lot of kids to have to count every time. Maybe one's in the bathroom. 48 hours when you're certain Billy's missing, give us a fucking call.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, that's just the way the world works. There's the kids are now connected in a different way. I mean, we were able to call each other. I'm sure there was a generation that was like, we didn't have a phone.
Yeah.
You had to walk down and get the town crier to tell you if you'd seen old Jedediah.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
I don't know. It's an interesting time, but we had fun when we were kiddos. How like you're now living out in the East Coast, you know, Nova Scotia, where my number one listenership is in this country for the One Man Podcast. Thank you, East Coast onesies.
Yeah.
When did you move out there?
So, I moved out there when I was, 16. I moved to the East Coast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you've been there ever since?
Yep.
Yeah. How do you like it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a great city.
Yeah. Were you there? Did you move out there with family, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Were you worried when you moved out there? Like, cause I'd never been until 2 years ago.
Well, the dynamic is a little different. People are definitely, I guess, different for lack of better words out there. There's something like we call maritime hospitality,
Okay.
which I'm sure you may be aware of. You did come and visit.
Yeah.
So, like one of the big kind of like shockers for me was just how open people are. Even if you don't know them, everybody kind of befriends you.
Yeah.
Like you'll be walking down the street and someone will be like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "What the fuck? Like, I don't know you, dude." And then just like, but that's normal out there,
Yeah.
right? People are just, they will treat you like they've known you forever and they give you that kind of warm welcome. So for me, that was a little bit to get used to because I'm not really used to that. I mean, coming from the nation's capital, I don't know. Maybe it's different now, but if someone's like, "Hey, what's up?" You're like, you know, it's like everybody's just kind of like to them, not to themselves, but it's a
They're like, "What do you want?"
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what's going on, man? Like people are a little bit more guarded, I think.
Yeah. Well, I heard that depending on the cost of living in an area, it affects how the populace interacts. So Toronto, it's so expensive. So when people are on the street, it's like everything is like time is money kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, because first I thought everyone was just a prick. I'm like, why is everyone such an asshole? And it's like the same in traffic. Like I'm trying to get to where I'm going. Like I'm not trying to sit in rush hour traffic for 2.5 hours. So it was kind of like, well, the more it costs to live in your city, the more you sort of shut down and you're like focused on just getting where you're going to get this day over with, to get home to my family or whatever. Because once you get inside, everyone's nice again.
Yeah.
I'm feeling Ottawa.
that makes sense, I guess.
I'm feeling Ottawa becoming that too, as everything starts becoming more and more expensive in Ottawa. Like I'm feeling there's more of a go, and people are a little less courteous than they once were. But of course, in the Maritimes, it's not that it's way less expensive, but it's, you can work a day and you're like, I don't have like that much stress in terms of like, you know, it doesn't cost me $2,800 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment to rent. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas like here, it's insane. In the last 10 years, the cost of rent has doubled. Just in 10 years, doubled from what it was. And I'm like, that's crazy. Because I remember paying like $1,200 for a 2-bedroom apartment. Now you're minimum $2,400.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy.
So it's like, that's not happening. That's not happening. At least a lot of places I've looked, someone will probably write in and go, "That's not true. I live in a shithole for." They'll probably phrase it differently, but that's what I'm going to comprehend from it when they send it. But what I liked about so you were there, I would say right around the time 37 minus 16, 21. So you were there before 9/11. Because my understanding was there was a lot of planes that were rerouted.
That time, I believe.
Yeah, there was
before.
Yeah, wasn't there like a lot of the planes that were rerouted to the Maritimes or whatever, and people were staying in homes there waiting for it to like become safe to come back or whatever?
I think so.
I hope I'm not thinking of a different disaster that was
remember,
the case.
to be honest, 100%. I think that might have happened.
Yeah, but that speaks to your hospitality, because apparently there's still families from the States that still keep in touch with like their billets and stuff. People who are putting them up in like Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. Is that Jason yelling stuff? Talking to himself? But yeah, so that's kind of cool. Like that's known for their hospitality. They were very, very kind. I didn't get an opportunity to talk to a lot of people while I was there. Basically, was seeing you and your colleagues sort of at the restaurant. They were very friendly. But I think Crystal and I spent most of our time trying to like drive to the ocean in the morning. So we were kind of by ourselves. The people who were walking the ocean were nice.
Yeah.
But I assume anybody who's up at 6:00 in the morning walking their dog on the beach of the ocean, probably a pretty reasonable person.
Yeah, I would think so.
You know, unless, I'm trying to think of a scenario where someone would be a piece of shit at 6 a.m. at the ocean. Maybe a homeless guy, arguing with seagulls. But if you got a dog, dogs are good. What's that old saying? It's like, what is it? I'm suspicious of a person who doesn't like dogs, but I trust a dog that doesn't like a person.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the thing too, right? Even if you're a bad guy, a homeless guy with a dog, if you're a bad person, the dog's gonna be like, nah, I'm not not shacking up with this piece of shit. Go find someone else. Yeah, dude. So that's kind of cool. Like, I want to make it back out there. I'm in talks with Yuck Yucks to come out. So, you know, if all you East Coast onesies are like, hey, when are you coming out here? Look, I'm working on it. All right. You guys can step on Yuck Yuck's neck in Halifax and just say, hey, we want to see Josh Williams out here. We'd like to see what his face looks like while he's rambling. You know, I'd love to be out there. I'm looking forward to going back. You've also been for some time now studying culinary arts and things like that, right?
That's correct. I actually just finished my 3rd-year apprenticeship. It was in the spring.
Yeah.
So I took the Red Seal test, passed it. So I'm officially now a certified Red Seal journeyman.
Okay.
So
I don't know what that means. When you say like Red Seal, I'm thinking like Navy SEALs. I know that's not what it is. It's like you show up, you rappel through the skylight, and you start adding salt to soups. This is fucked up. You get on the ground, you start fixing other teams of chefs, fixing their meals, fly back into the helicopter.
Funny story, actually. A lot of the modern kitchen brigade is actually based off of a military mindset.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So you basically have your different levels. You have your head chef, which is the chief, your sous chef, and then you have all your station chefs. So like you have your poissonnerie, so that's like the guy who's in charge of the fish station, and then your soups and your garde-manger, so salads and all that.
Garde-manger. That's pretty fucking
And
fun.
then you have your commies. They're actually called commies underneath those guys. So it's so it's,
what do they do?
The commies
garnishes?
Garde-manger?
No, like the commies. What do they do? Like garnishings and stuff like that?
Oh no! Basically, they work under the direction of the station chef.
Okay.
So anything that needs to be done for the day, they basically are the go-to guys, and they make sure everything's going smoothly and whatnot.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how that stuff works. Like again, I've always been like, I'm fascinated by food. I'm fascinated by taste and things like that. But I'm like, I don't know if I could work in a kitchen because it's so like go. It's not the communication part. The communication part, I totally know I could do. I think the pressure of being like the whole, this plate's ready to go. Like, cause we've seen it on like, you know, TV shows, which is never reality, even though they're called reality shows. It's never realistic. Like, you know, shit's going down just to create that tension, that drama.
It depends what kitchen you're working in, to be honest.
Right.
I've worked in kitchens where it's total Hell's Kitchen nightmare, whatever you want to call it. And then
I don't want to be that guy who burnt the thing and now that plate can't go out because I was the weakest link in the chain. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that. I'm like, I'm capable of like, oh fuck, that stayed in for 30 seconds too long. Now it's ruined and we can't serve it. Now everyone's stuff is garbage or whatever. Now that customer's pissed and Josh, what the, I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need that.
Yeah. And you learn, you know, after being in the industry for so long that type of shit is going to happen. And, you know, you just kind of got to pick yourself up and keep going, because as soon as one man falls, then the whole
chain
team goes down. So as a leader or a chef, you have to be, you know, you have to show confidence. You got to give your guys on the line, you know, that confidence, because if you start panicking, then everyone's going to start panicking. So if something happens, you're like, all right, let's fix it. Let's keep going. We fucked that up, but you know, it doesn't matter.
You can't do the Gordon Ramsay thing where you go up and go, "Well, you fucking piece of shit!" Like, you can't.
He's a fucking twat. Anyway,
you can't drill sergeant your fucking.
No, you can't.
People.
It doesn't work.
You're a piece of garbage. Like,
what does that do? Basically, those people, their heads are all scrambled and they're running around. They're nervous and like they just fuck up even more. So you just got to be calm. And even if you got to step back for a minute and say, "Okay, guys, like let's take a minute and let's regroup. Let's focus." And you know, And that's
the reality TV portion then, is to scream at your people and treat them like garbage. You fucking idiots. Like, I can't imagine a scenario where that works.
I've been screamed at and I've been the screamer.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Just tempers flare. It's a very stressful situation. There's constant pressure. You're working in, you know, it's very hot. It's very humid.
Yeah.
You're working with a lot of alpha males and females. So, you know, and so sometimes it just gets too much and people pop, and you know, a lot of
people pop.
Yeah, and a lot of times, you know, you're working on 12 hours, no break, no food, and your glucose levels are at the floor and you're shaking, and you just look at your fellow cook and you want to strangle them, and you know, these are the
fucking. I told him 3 times this shit. Too much salt. What are you even touching the salt for? Put it down. Put it down. Put it down. Put it down. Put it down.
Yeah.
I like that. People pop. Dude, hot, humid, people pop.
Yeah.
Dude, does people what is the healing from that look like? Do people usually like they're leaning against the wall out in the alley having a cigarette together like, look, man, I'm sorry.
Lots of fucking alcohol and weed.
Yeah. Everyone's like, all right, we're drinking afterwards.
Yeah.
But does everyone always smooth it over? Like, is there something in the kitchen where you're like, never take it personally?
Yes.
Okay. And people know that, right? Like,
yeah.
Like they're gonna blow up, they're gonna lose their shit. Kind of just like let it roll off. Let them blow out the lines. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Yeah, like usually, we're by the end of the shift, we're just so beat up and bruised and battered. We just, we kind of okay. Let's go have a drink. Let's not talk about what happened during the shift. And then 5 minutes into the conversation, you're talking about the shift for like the next 2 hours. So
that's so funny to me. Yeah. That's why I couldn't do it. Because I'm like, I can't. I love hearing about it. Where did you, like, I'm not trying to make this an interview, but I'm curious, like, when did you get into the culinary arts? Like, what was it that sparked that for you?
Wow. Okay.
Because you're not like were you just getting a part-time job as a dishwasher and that's where it started? Or was it like, no, I'm interested in cooking? Like, you kind of, where did it start?
Well, for me, it was, okay, I'm going to be totally blunt. When I moved out on my own, I was probably 17 or 18. And, I was doing the whole bachelor thing and just trying to make ends meet and whatnot. And my first kitchen job was actually McDonald's washing dishes.
They have dishwashers in McDonald's?
And then,
I didn't realize. Yeah. Well, I guess there's stuff they cook with. It's not like they're washing plates and forks and knives, right? Because that shit's...
And then I moved on to Subway, and when I first started, it was just a job.
Yeah.
I just needed a job, and then from there, kind of like grew, and I was like, well, I have a bit of experience. Let me try my hand at my luck at something a little bit more challenging. And one of the perks of working in the kitchen was free food, right?
Yeah.
So I could eat whenever I wanted, and I basically had all the ingredients in front of me, and I could eat whatever, whenever. And that was one of the big perks, actually, to be honest, when I first started. And then it was just like, the whole thought, like it was cool to be a cook and, kind of badass and like I'm a chef and rah, 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 rah. And and then after that, something kind of happened and I fell in love with the challenge and the conquer.
Yeah.
And just every day was a constant challenge. And I'm a stubborn bugger. And I just, I don't like giving up.
Nice.
Like, and that's kind of been my, what's gotten me through in life in a lot of hardships is just my perseverance. And that kind of carried through over into the kitchen. And, once in a while you'll through my different job experiences, you'll meet a chef and he'll say, try this, and he'll just blow your mind. And you're just like, whoa, just when you think you've learned it all, you're hit with another flavor combination or another inspiration or something that just speaks to you. And, for me, that's amazing. And just being able to, especially this day and age, actually sit down with friends and family and enjoy a meal and talk about your day. And, food brings people together.
100%. 100%. There's a great book. I'll show it to you later on. One of the ones DK sent me called Food.
Yeah.
And it's like this, it's called The Story of Food. Mm-hmm. And they've got all this big section on like how socially important it is to eat together.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will just grab something, sit down on the couch in the room, they wolf down, they go to the room, whatever, they just eat and whatever. But it's like, they even have, I can't remember where it is in Asia, they have like once a year, it's like a street festival where they just line up tables.
Yeah.
Like the whole city. And it's just like everyone comes and eats at these tables, whatever, just to eat together as a community or whatever. Mm-hmm. How like socially important it is, So no, I agree with you 100% in that regard. I wanted to ask, this is one that's interesting to me. So, okay, when you were here, last year? We were hanging out and you explained something to me. So two things. I have two questions and I have to make sure I ask them both because I will forget one of them.
Okay.
Is we were talking about this earlier today. I was telling you how like you told me about this was the whole, like I look at some of these culinary things. What I liked 10 years ago when I was talking about how things were more expensive, whatever, that's when I first started watching the Food Network. Mm-hmm. So you'd see these shows like Iron Chef and kitchen nightmares, stuff with Gordon Ramsay, restaurant makeover, where all these different things and they're changing menus. And it made me very interested in the whole culinary thing. And for a while I was like, oh, I wonder if I'd like to be a chef. I started cooking different things that I'd never cooked before, tried to introduce myself. So this is maybe where the two-parter comes in, is I tried to introduce myself to things I didn't like eating. I tried making like steak and mushrooms and stuff. I fucking hate mushrooms. I've talked about it before. But you explained to me that it's not like, hey, it's not like someone's like, what if I took watercress and raspberries? They're not just grabbing two random things out of the blue and then throwing them together to see if they make a flavor combination. You were explaining, which I kind of like, because it makes it seem a little less like it's mystical craftsmanship. Like there's chef monks meditating in the mountains on flavor combos. But you were explaining how like a lot of it is just, it's a simple kind of formula where like when you make a meal, and I'll let you correct me because I know I'm not going to be right on it, but it's kind of like, well, you need a certain level of acidity in every dish, and a certain level of sweet, and a certain level of salt. Yeah. Like not every dish has to have sweet per se, but there's balances. So it's not so much that like, hey, raspberry goes with this. It's that sweet goes with salt or whatever it is, right? So is there like any kind of generic baseline that you look for when you're creating a dish? Because there's so many out there. Like that's the best thing. You go to a restaurant, like you try, and you're like, oh, who would have thought? But really, like I like that because you really took away some of that mystique, not in a negative, right? But just that, like, it's not like these guys are fucking way out there. It's like, but once you know that, like, hey, salt and sweet, try this together, so you can put pear and brie together, and that'll work. And of course, it's popular, so you start to see it other places too. But the whole idea is it doesn't come from like somebody trying 97 different pieces of cheese with one fruit and going, okay, which one? It's that knowing that this is salt and that's sweet kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, yeah. So I think the big thing is developing your palate, and that comes, a lot of it does come from experience. But to elaborate on what you're talking about, acidities, that's very important. Acidities and, let's say, fats. Okay, for example. So what you can probably notice is sometimes, like, let's say, okay, we're going to give an example to make these again. Okay. Right? This is like just a simple example, but it makes so much sense. So, you you have a burger and you have your fries. Okay, there's salt on the fries. What they do is, like, they'll pair it with pop, right? Okay. Now, the relationship that the acidity and the fat have is the acidity cuts through the fat. Okay. So you take a bite of that burger, right? And then that fat coats your tongue. Okay. And then if you were to take like a bite of the fries, well, you might taste them, but you wouldn't taste them as well as if you were to take a sip of that pop, because what the pop does, the acidity, it cuts through the fat and it cleanses the palate. Okay. So every bite, you're getting that first bite sensation. Same with, let's say, sushi, for example, right? Okay. You're eating a lot of fatty fish, salmon, and then you have the pickled ginger. Well, that's a form of acidity. So you're cleansing your palate, right? Yeah. So acids and fats. And then you have, of course, your salty and your sweet. So it's, I guess...
I was going to say that was what my brain went with the fries and the burger thing. Yeah. Because I was thinking almost like, oh, people must think like pop goes well because you got your sweet and salty. But like you said, the acidity of the pop is also doing the cleanse of the fat from the burger. Yeah. So you're getting like a feeling. But yeah, sorry, like you were saying, I like the ginger, the pickled ginger with the sushi too. I'm not a big sushi guy, but it does make sense. I always like it, it tastes better when I put a little bit of that ginger on there.
So yeah, and then it's all about finding that balance too. And we can take a look at textures, how the food feels in your mouth, the bite, the feel, temperature. That's another thing. So like, let's say you're eating ice cream, for example. The manufacturers will have to actually put more sugar in that sweet frozen product because we perceive sugar less when something is really cold versus if it was warm.
I see.
So that's,
we can taste more sugar when it's warm than when it's cold.
Yeah. Like,
I know that cold mutes a lot of flavors. Like I know that's a thing with whiskey. Everyone knows I'm big into whiskey, and that's the thing for two people. Is like, put ice in it. It's like, yeah, you can put ice in it, but first off, you're diluting. If it's a really expensive whiskey, you're diluting it, so you're kind of ruining what the person wanted you to taste. And then when you make it colder, you're also muting flavors. Yep. It's the same. So I'm just thinking when you said that, my brain immediately went to wines, because I'm like, typically white wines I find to be sweeter than reds.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are served chilled.
Yeah.
So it must mean that there's more sugar in those, just due to the fact that it's like, well, if you want to taste the sugar,
possibly,
then it's like,
that's
we got to
true.
sweeten it up. Because I know that Moscatos and stuff like that are insane. They're like usually over 100 grams of sugar per liter, which is crazy.
So yeah, another cool fun fact that I wanted to mention is that women actually tend to have, when we're talking about taste, they have more, on average, more taste receptors on their tongues than men. Oh. So they can actually taste better than we can.
So
in
even
a lot
if you're
of,
willing to blow a guy, it still tastes worse to a woman.
Probably. I think it has to
Sorry,
do...
ladies, all those guys that don't shower out there. We didn't realize.
Jesus, you had to take it there, dude.
I haven't said anything funny in a while, so I always have to cut through the serious. If it's getting too educational for my listeners, I have to.
Fair enough.
And a dick joke.
Yeah, and a dick joke.
So they can actually. So maybe that's why women enjoy, I guess, dining out, stuff like that. Yeah, not licking each other, right? I know. I've seen the internet. I've been on the internet. That's the thing they do. But no, but so women can enjoy, well, I mean, that's why shit's more savory to them. Like you watch a woman enjoy a piece of chocolate or something, you know what I mean? Like, so they're having a different experience, right? Because guys are always like, why do women like chocolate so much? Well, maybe if they can taste it better than we can.
Yeah, and I think too, maybe it's from like an evolutionary standpoint. You know, the woman is usually, not all times, but usually the care, like the main nurturer for the child, you know what I mean?
Right.
So if she's, if she's eating something and she's giving it to that infant, she would need to make sure that it's safe to eat. So, and
like
it's
the
not
king's
spoiled.
soup tester.
Yeah, I guess the king's soup tester.
'Tis safe for the king.
At least that's my take on it. I mean, I could,
because it is interesting. It is interesting. Like why would females need better taste receptors? But maybe it just comes better from having better like olfactory senses or something like that. Yeah. True. When they're pregnant, they can smell shit from like a mile away. They're like bears.
Yeah. So if there's any girls out there who think that they're not going to be good chefs for whatever reason, just remember you guys have the better taste buds. So there's a little fun fact for you.
That's interesting. The other part of the question that I wanted to ask you was, as a chef, and I'll get into my week, guys. I haven't told you anything that I did this week, but one of the things that I find very interesting, it makes me curious, because there's a lot of things I don't like. Mm-hmm. It's not like 50-50, but there's a lot of things I don't like. For me, I think it's more of a texture than a taste. I don't think flavors turn me off.
Right, because mushrooms are pretty dull, and you mentioned that you don't like mushrooms, but I think it's the texture.
Yeah, they're spongy. Yeah. You go to bite on them, and they fight back. Go fuck yourself.
I
hate it.
What about eggplant?
I don't mind it.
I fucking hate eggplant. It's so bitter and nasty. I don't know why I
like it pickled. Pickled eggplant.
Okay, yeah, maybe pickled, but like, whoa.
Just eggplant?
Yeesh.
No.
Yeah.
It's like to me, just eggplant is like trying to eat a silicone breast implant. You know what I mean? Someone it's a eggplant parm. All right, you deep fried and battered a fucking fake titty. Like that's the fucking texture and weirdness that it's got to me.
Jesus.
Right? And they're like clear. You cut them open, they're like weird and clear.
Yeah, right.
Well, maybe when maybe the ones I've seen, the pickled ones look clear. Yeah. They're like white, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had pickled eggplant on sandwiches. If you put I love pickles.
Yeah.
If you put too much eggplant on it, I'm out. But that's the thing. There's texture. I don't mind eggplant. I'd take eggplant over mushrooms in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's textures I don't like. So as a chef, so there you go. You've already said one thing that you don't like. But like, you'll taste whatever you make regardless, right?
Right. Yep.
So you don't care. Like, is there anything that you're just like hard no, I'm not eating it?
Eggplant.
That's it?
That's it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. There's any other taste. I'm one of those people. I had this conversation recently. I'm one of those people that cilantro tastes like soap to me.
Okay, wait a minute. Yeah. Cilantro might be
cilantro.
in a good second. I try it and I try and incorporate it into
Does
a lot
it taste
of my
like
dishes.
soap to you?
Yeah, it kind of does.
It's like a genetic thing. Apparently, like 1 out of every 3 people, cilantro tastes like soap.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Honestly, God, you may as well take a cheese grater and a bar of soap and just shave it into my food. That's what cilantro makes my food taste like. So it's fucking, but there's no medium ground on cilantro. People either love cilantro or hate it. There's no like, man, I don't mind. It's either good or bad. So nothing in terms of meat. You're not like hard no on crab or like hard no on salami or something. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that might polarize something. There's no vegetables like.
Okay, you remember mock chicken?
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
But you're never gonna go to. You know what? You're never gonna go to a fucking nice restaurant and be like, "Sir, would you like a mock chicken steak this evening?" And you're like, "Oh, how medium rare."
I don't really like Spam either. I love corned beef, but Spam, I can't do
corned
it.
beef hash I can do.
Yeah.
as long as there's no like peppers and shit in it. I
Yeah.
don't like when people. That's what I was trying to say. Is that like, okay, so you could probably appreciate this more than anybody else. I wanna write this into a joke, but just for the time being, because like I have all these friends who are like, "Oh, you hate vegetables, right?" And I'm like, I don't hate vegetables. I hate tomatoes. Mm-hmm. I really don't like. I really don't like onions, depending on how thickly they're cut and how long they're cooked or whatever. Like, I'll put raw onions in a hot dog. I don't mind, and certain cooked onions I don't mind. Like, I don't mind onion rings as long as they're not super thick or whatever. But for the most part, like big chopped chunks of onions in a salad, I'm not really interested in just chewing onions. Mm-hmm. But they're my least disliked. But I don't like mushrooms. I don't like green peppers. Mm-hmm. I don't hate green peppers. I can't eat them. I get horrible heartburn. They're not worth it. So tomatoes, onions, green peppers, mushrooms. Those I don't hate. Those are the only vegetables I don't like. But here's the thing. Those are like the Mount Rushmore of vegetables. Like tomatoes are in like almost everything. If they're pureed, right. It's like the texture I really don't like of tomatoes. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, people are like, oh, you don't like vegetables because every time we try to order pizza, they want to put onions and green peppers on it. Like, oh, you don't like veggies. No, I don't like those veggies. You know, well, do you like fucking salad? Yeah, but I'm picking chunks of tomato and onions and green peppers out of it. You know what I mean? Like, so I just wanted to say, like, for myself, that's frustrating because I'm like, yeah, I like vegetables. Broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, peas, corn, beans, Brussels sprouts, asparagus. Like, the list goes on of the shit that I like, but they're not the main four. I think the mushrooms isn't exactly a vegetable, but think of a piece of like combination pizza. Mm-hmm. It's fucking green peppers, mushrooms, like all the shit I don't like. So that's one of the things too. Like it's really frustrating too when like ordering food. It's like you find that shit in everything.
Yeah.
You know, bean salad, great. Oh look, there's green peppers and onions in there. You know what I mean? One of the things that started happening. I don't know what happened. I don't know what Nazi won an election that made this start happening. But these I love going for breakfast. Mm-hmm. All right, breakfast best meal. But out of the blue, these places started putting onions in their home fries.
Really?
Yeah. Like you get, and it's not even like a lot of places you go. Like, would you like us to add onions to your home fries, an extra charge? No, not paying you more to ruin my breakfast. But thanks for asking. Mm-hmm. Some places that's their default. Oh yeah, their home fries come. We put onions in them.
Okay.
Would you ever like me to come back? Because that's the worst. Now there's even places that automatically put green peppers in them.
That's disgusting.
It's disgusting, and it's even more reason for me to not eat them. I'm like, what is going on? I think this joke I'm going to have to bring down.
Yeah.
Onions, peppers,
people leave the home fries alone.
But I guess that's what I was getting at for you. Is there anything like that even though you're a chef, because that's the thing, I know I don't like them, so I wouldn't be making a meal with them. But
I mean, yeah, like I might add a bit of sauteed onions and mushrooms to home fries if I'm at home. Mm-hmm. Sure, but like when they bring these home fries to you, are the onions sauteed or they're just like
they're sauteed?
Okay, are they okay? But they just
it's like when they're flipping them on the grill, they're just throwing a pile of onions in there and cutting them. I just don't love it.
I wouldn't be a fan of the green pepper in the home fries, but like the onions,
they're trying to turn it into a potato salad with no cream on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, why are there onions in my potatoes? Just leave the potatoes alone. They were good the way they are. I don't know. It's not the end of the world. It's not the be all and end all, but I just find it. Now, here's the difference too. I'm talking about the shit that I would cook for myself. So as a chef, you're not cooking for yourself. You're cooking for everybody else. But of course, I know just from everything I've watched on the Food Network is while you're cooking, you kind of have to taste to make sure that there's a consistency to everything. That there's a uniformity to everything. Yeah. But there's not stuff that you're like, hard no, you try it. Eggplant.
Yeah, just that's pretty much it, to be honest. I'm pretty open to
no sauces, no spices.
No,
that's awesome. See, I wish I had that. Like what about foreign stuff? Like exotic food, like those like
scorpions and and like spiders and stuff like that?
Maybe, but sure.
Yeah, I don't think I'd touch that stuff.
No? Okay. Because I always wonder about that, because I got a roommate who will like eat anything. He'll eat anything, he'll try anything. He doesn't love certain things, but he will try anything. And I look at these things like there was these like onions I saw like in Chinatown. It looked like a twig with a bunch of burrs on it. And then you grab the burr and you peel it and a fucking onion comes out of this, what looks like a ball bag. It looks like you're ripping a scrotum open and there's an onion. They're like little pearl onions or whatever.
Okay.
but they come out of these weird things. I was like, I would never try that. I would never try an onion that grows in a scrotum.
Yeah.
But it's I don't have that. I'm not adventurous. Like my buddies, when my buddies go to like, my friend Chris showed me a video of like, he was in this little hole in the wall restaurant in like Hong Kong or China. And it was a plate of like noodles with worms in it. And the worms were alive and slithering around, like little mealworms.
Mealworms, yeah.
Would you eat that?
Probably not if they were alive. Maybe if they were roasted and seasoned.
I like that. They're roasted and seasoned.
Yeah, that might be okay.
I can't.
A little bit of barbecue seasoning or something.
I'm a delicate little bitch like that. I see that stuff. I'm like, I understand it's cultural because I'm used to like my animals already being dead and transformed into something that looks like it's got, lettuce, pickles, ketchup, mustard.
Doesn't have a head on it.
Yeah, exactly. But these things are still writhing around. And I'm like, I can't do it. I can't fucking do it.
Yeah, dude.
So that's what I wanted to know is if you were kind of like, if you're adventurous and you're like, fuck, if it's food, I'll give it a try. Like,
yeah, no, if something's still moving on the plate, I might be a little squeamish.
Okay. So it's not like, I always wondered that about chefs. It's just like, is it just like, hey, if it's food, try it, eat it, Cool. Okay. Well, I'm going to bug you more about food stuff. We're 40 minutes in. We're moving right along.
Sweet.
I'm just going to tell you onesies about how my week was. Okay. I was doing more activations for the Canadian Blood Services. That was fun. I will say this to you guys. I've been in, what do you call it? Jesus Christ, my phone's going nuts. Sorry, guys. That's just the last 2 minutes. Like showing Matt here, like when you guys think like, how does he keep getting distracted? I'm like, because nothing stops bothering me for attention. Canadian Blood Services. I was at Algonquin College. Can I tell you guys how scary colleges are now? Man, is it ever great that we can express ourselves however we want? I do think that's great, but I will tell you, to a 36-year-old man, it is horrifying. Some of the things I'm seeing, people's forms of expression. I'm just, and there's a lot of people. How do I say this without sounding like a piece of shit? I am all for, and I'm not even going, you guys think I might be trying to make some sort of transgendered comment or whatever. I'm not, I'm just talking about people's straight up fashion decisions and things like that. As an old man, I just feel like, the analogy I want to make is I'm just like looking at all these different animals going like, what the fuck is going on? But like a lion on the savannah, everyone's at the watering hole in one place, all the different animals, everything like that. And I'm just hiding in the grass going, what the fuck is going on here? Everyone's drinking. It was a Starbucks in the middle of their Commons building. And just the people that were coming in all day. Like I said, the clothing choice, everyone's hair is a color now, right? Like everyone's got pink and purple and blue hair now. No issues with it. Just, it's different to me. Again, I haven't been in a college or school setting in 20 years. So it's just, is it the mail carrier? So many distractions. I got like ADD still. All I can say, guys, is if you haven't been frightened for what the future's got in store, go hang out at a college for an hour in the Commons area and just look at the people coming in. Everyone's got their phone in front of their face, earbuds in. I even saw people like, how people used to hang their earbuds over their ear? Mm-hmm. Like they take the little cord and wrap it over their ear. Now I saw a guy with AirPods and just tucked it behind his ear. Like,
no.
If you're going to take it out, put it in the fucking case. Do you know what I mean? Like, but he's got it tucked behind his ear in such a stupid way. I don't know, guys. I became a judgy old man very quick at that college setting, but, and they didn't want to donate their blood. So it was a rough, they're like, why would I give you my blood? I'm like, I don't know, because it helps save a life. I hope one day you never need it if that's your position on it. It was interesting, whatever. But that's it. I talked about it last week. I just find that being at these colleges, it's so different. And listening to the conversations, like the things that are important to people at that age, it happens to everybody. I'm sure people in their 60s would listen to the shit I'm talking about going, there's nothing. What is this idiot talking about? It's all garbage. My hips hurt. So yeah, I did that. I did an expo in Toronto, EGLX, Electronic Gaming. I don't even know if that's what that stands for, but I drove to Toronto Friday morning. Got stuck in Toronto traffic on my way to my Airbnb. Here's the thing. As you guys know, I'm a big board game nerd. I enjoy board games. The only opportunity, I had to be at the Metro Toronto Convention Center at 1 p.m. I got into Toronto at about 11:30. And my board game store in Scarborough in the area. So basically I'm driving past this board game store, the only one that I can go to, drive all the way down into downtown Toronto. I'm like, I can stay here till noon and wait for the store to open. But I have to check in at my Airbnb and be at the convention center for one. So anyways, I get to my Airbnb for 11:30. I check in, I get my key. I drive back in like morning traffic all the way back to Scarborough, like 30 minutes backwards. I drive forward 30 minutes, back 30 minutes, buy my game. So you're like, why wouldn't you just order it online, Josh? I mean, well, this particular game that I wanted to buy is only available for pickup. There's some sort of deal with the manufacturer or whatever that you cannot, for some reason to support brick and mortars and to not compete with his own online sales. If you want to buy it, you have to go to the store and buy it. So that's what I did. That's what I did my Friday morning. I drove to Toronto, then I checked into my Airbnb, drove all the way back 30 minutes to a board game store to buy one game, and then drive all the way to the Metro Toronto Convention Center. This EGLX thing I was doing was like, it was with the Hewlett Packard's Omen computers again, they're gaming computers. And it was like a Comic Con of like video games and gaming tournaments and things like that. It was really interesting, I would say. Again, people dressed up as like cosplayers and robots and like the weirdest shit. And that was the thing with the cosplayers. Some people like really went all out on their costumes. And then at one point I just saw this really large person. Well, I have to tell, I can't tell the story without saying it. It was a large woman and she had like, she had her legs cut out. So it was like leotards, whatever. Kind of like an 80s workout. What do you call them? Fuck. It's like an 80s workout video, right? You got like just the vagina and the butt covered and then the legs out. I don't know what the fuck it's called. It looks like a one-piece bikini. So basically all of the legs and the ass hanging out. But here's the thing. On a lot of these weird, wacky anime costumes, like and video game costumes, that's how these women are dressed. But then they have these big elaborate shoulder pads and there's all this look to it and there's a lot that goes into it. This girl was like literally wearing just a leotard thing and that was it. She was big. So I'm like, what are you supposed to be?
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. You can laugh.
I haven't heard leartards in such a long time.
I don't even know if that's the right word. Is that the right word?
I don't know. Spandex? No.
Spandex. But even spandex sounds like it covers like, this is just like,
just that word,
I feel
though,
like it's a ballet.
Leotard.
Right.
Leotards. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Leo special needs is what I meant to say. But the point is that there was no effort to this costume. She was just a half-naked fat chick. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean to be rude, but part of me is like, I get cosplay, and there was here's the thing: there was a lot of large lady cosplayers in costumes like that, but they were clearly a character or something. It wasn't like, hey, I want to be the fat chick at the gaming expo with my legs and ass hanging out.
Right.
Because some of these girls, like that was another conversation that I had coming up was like, how like what good-looking girl? Here's me with judgmental and ignorance. All right, Wednesdays, I'm aware of what I'm about to say, but I'm like. Here's the thing. This expo had a lot of gaming nerds, the guys who sit in their mom's basements, shower. They wake up in the morning. The first thing they do is not shower, and they go on with the day. They put their leather jackets on because they still think that's a cool look. Right. Really seals in all those smells and everything like that. Right. And then they wander out to the expo, bringing their cure. Basically these guys have like an aged whiskey level of BO. They're like 12 years. No.
Doritos and nicotine or something.
Oh, it's all horrible. Just smells coming out of them. But I'm like, then there's these women who are good looking.
Okay.
Right. And they're like, I want to dress up like the hot chick and blah, blah, blah. And then show up at this convention. Why? You know what I mean? I get cheerleaders because they might land an athlete. You know, like a guy who's in shape and good looking.
Okay, I see
what are they? What are these beautiful women showing up at these cosplay? Like, why? And everyone's like, well, some of them get paid a lot of money. And I'm like, look, I get that. Once you've arrived, I get it. But what girl who's good looking is like, you know what? Forget the athletes. Forget the tech guys. I want to go after the nerdy, stinky, fatty gamers.
Yeah.
You know, the more pimples, the better.
Yeah.
It's like you're checking his credit score by the dots on his face. You know what I mean? Like what is going on? I just want to know, like, where did these chicks are like, okay. And then here's the thing. Like, I get that there's some good looking nerdy chicks. I'll be honest with you. A lot of these nerdy people, not a lot of confidence. Like they come up to me to ask me a question. They won't even make eye contact. They're like, I have a question. I was wondering what kind of, I'm in the market for a new, like almost like they have to qualify why they're asking. I'm in the market for a new machine. That's why I'm asking you a question. I'm just, what kind of processor? Does it have like the dual core, blah, 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 or does it have the blah? I'm like, buddy, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry. I don't know what your thing is. And I'm going, and a lot of the women are like that too. Like they're a little shy or whatever. But I'm like, at what point are you like, I'm shy, but I want to show my ass. I want to show my ass to these weird, strange, socially inept people. I did take more from the expo than just this, by the way, guys. I just found that was one of the things. We were set up right next to the cosplay area. So I was just going like, why? Who hurt you? That you're like, I want to turn on these nerds. Then again, I really hope, I assume for some reason, Red is usually my go-to in expectation. Like whenever I say something out of place, I'm like, I expect Red to chime in with the female perspective. And since Red likes to play video games and shit too. However, Red, as far as I know, you're not a cosplayer. So if she was the cosplayer, I'd be like, then Red can just answer this for sure. But the nerdy chicks were like, yeah, I want to get half naked in front of these stinky guys. And that's the thing. They're gonna want to stick around these girls longer. Anyways, there were some really attractive cosplayers, but at the same time, one of the things that surprised me too, there was a lot of let's say gender role play.
Okay.
So there'd be like, I would see somebody with like a great backside walking away, big long hair, whatever. They turn around, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes. I got caught in that a few times.
Yep.
But so my new policy is don't look at anyone. I'm gonna fact check all my porn first. Go, is that really it? No, I'm kidding. But anyways, I had a good time at EGLX. My Airbnb this time was better than previous experiences on a budget. You can get great Airbnbs if you want to spend $150 a night like a hotel. But I go budget, buddy. I go, what's the cheapest room I can get to stay in Toronto? And I got a decent one. I actually stayed with some nice people. But the bedroom that I was staying in, it was like a kid's bedroom. I'm serious. They had like Rick and Morty posters on the wall. There was like board games and puzzles on a shelf. The bed that I was in was like a single bed. You know what I mean? So it was small. And the pillows that they gave me, like, so it was like, we're talking like kids sheets, you know what I mean? Like, I can't remember. It wasn't like Power Rangers or Marvel on it, but it was like kids theme, like just like little motorboats or something, you know what I mean? Like on the bed. The blanket they gave me was a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I was under like vinyl, nylon fucking.
So like you can't check the room out or whatever?
There's pictures of it,
Yeah.
but it's hard to tell from the pictures. Like when a sleeping bag's all folded up, it just looks like a blanket at the bottom of the bed. Like it wasn't rolled up. I didn't come in, there was like a sleeping bag rolled up. But it was like a kid's sleeping bag that when you unzipped it, it was enough to cover a single human being in this bed. The pillow was thinner than it was incredibly thin pillow. You know what I mean? It was like an airline pillow, but larger in terms of width. So it was like thin, and then there was like a couch cushion. So it was like this thin pillow and a couch cushion, which I just jammed together and stuck in the corner of the wall and just sort of propped myself up on. And then, like everything else was fine. The Wi-Fi worked great and everything. They didn't give me a towel. So I kind of like shower and then like run naked down the hall to my room to try to dry off. But I at one point I was like, I wonder if I could just like wad up toilet paper, try to dry off the real wet areas. But then it's going to rip and stick and now you're covered in that.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was not ideal. However, it was nice. The bathroom was nice. The door locked and it stayed locked, which was great. But yeah, no, I had a good time. I was in Toronto. I had made friends with all sorts of new BAs I'd never worked with before. Did I do anything else of note? There's not a whole lot of note. I got stuck. Okay, this marathon thing happened. This pissed me off. I'm going to get through it real quick. On Sunday morning, I tried to get there early so that I can go get breakfast across the street from the Toronto Convention Center. And I left with 45 minutes before I had to be there. And my GPS was like 12 minutes before you get there. I'm like, amazing. So I'm like 7-8 blocks, long blocks, but 7-8 blocks from this place from my Airbnb. Get my car, drive. It tells me to go down Yonge Street, which is like the longest street in the world or whatever. And I turn left and I'm stuck in traffic. All right, well, we'll figure it out, right? I'm going right in like 5 blocks. I got tons of time. I'm stuck. Traffic's barely moving. What the fuck is going on? I look at my GPS and it went from getting there at 9 o'clock to like 9:17. And this is because I've been just sitting in traffic for so long. So I messaged my boss. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but traffic's not moving or it's barely moving. And my ETA is going up like crazy. I think I might be late or photo finish. And he's like, yeah, no worries. I get down and I see that the westward turn is closed. And I'm like, what the fuck? Cops are blocking off traffic, everything like that. I'm like, oh, fuck, I wonder what happened. Yeah. You know, maybe there was a shooting or something. So I go where my GPS detours me to like the next street over. Basically, the entire southern part of the city was blocked off from being able to go west. So I keep going down around another street, try to loop around. My GPS doesn't know these streets are closed.
Right. So
it just keeps trying to send me this. And I'm like, I don't know Toronto. How the fuck do I get to this place? So I just keep going to the point where, and for anyone who doesn't know, Toronto, the city ends at the river. Like there's a river or a lake or whatever. So you end at the water. I go all the way down to the water and I still can't go west. So now I'm looping around back. And keep in mind, this is not like open streets and I'm driving clear. This is me stuck in bumper to bumper traffic trying to get to these other places. Well, maybe this street. Finally get all the way down to the bottom. It's like it's all closed. And I asked the cop, I go, why? I go, I'm not from here. I don't have, my GPS thinks all these streets are open. They don't realize you guys closed down half the city. What's going on? They're like, oh, it's a marathon. I go, okay, how do I get to the Metro Toronto Convention Center from right here, right now? How do I get there? And they're like, I don't know, you should walk. Like, find out, I go, what? You want me to walk? I'm in my car. You want me to just get out here? I'll leave it here. You guys watch it today. I'll come back and get it. Because I am like 7-8 blocks away. So I had to turn around. I basically passed, like no word of a lie, I passed where I was when I messaged my boss an hour later, just to loop back and get back to where I was, heading northwards through the city till I finally found a spot that was open westward, bumper to bumper traffic, The point is my 12-minute trip took me almost 2.5 hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was in traffic for 2.5 hours to try to get there. That was the worst
Yeah,
for a marathon.
brutal.
For a marathon. Oh, we're running a marathon. And I'm driving by these people like, I looked at a truck on the way by on Yonge Street when I was back where I was.
Yeah.
I looked at the truck next to me because we're side by side, and I opened the window. He's headed the other way. He's headed into this nightmare. I go, are you trying to go west? And he goes, yeah. I go, there's nothing.
Ouch.
There's nothing that direction. Not one thing that's going to let you go west at all. Turn around and go the other way. He's like, oh, thanks, man. I'm like, yeah. There's my East Coast hospitality in Toronto where no one wants to talk to you.
Right.
But it was just like, yeah. I'm like, there's nothing. If you're trying to go west, nothing is open there. So anyways, I finally got to the center. It took forever. Started my day off the worst because that was Sunday, which means I got up to the convention center, work all day, do tear down. We have to tear down everything at the third day and then drive 4 hours back to Ottawa. And I had an activation the next morning. So it was a shit way to start the day. I'm like, I hate the city. When I saw the people in the little marathon gear, like walking down the street, I'm like, I hope someone bombs your fucking marathon. You know what I mean?
Can you say that?
I just did. No, in the sense, like, I mean, obviously I don't hope that, but I'm like, this stupid little, we're gonna walk and run. You're gonna shut down downtown Toronto for a marathon. Why not do it somewhere else?
Yeah.
Or part of it. You literally shut down every street westward and caused the worst traffic jam I've ever seen ever in my life. It was just brutal. It was just fucking brutal. So I go from being mindful, like, I don't want to hurt anybody. And I didn't open my window and yell that at them. I'm just thinking like, fuck you and your fucking marathon. You know what I mean? I'm late. I'm embarrassed, Anyways, yesterday, so as always, guys, we're recording this on Tuesday. We're getting close to the hour mark. I'm just letting you know we're recording this on Tuesday. We'll be available for you tomorrow. Yesterday was election day. I guess congratulations to the Liberal government on their minority win, I guess. Where Matt and I are not talking politics just because, I just don't like to polarize anybody. I appreciate all your onesies and which ways you lean and all that shit. So just they won. Congratulations to them. Minority government, which means they went from a majority to a minority. So not as many people want them in power as did before. That's all that means. You can argue it, but it's the truth. If as many people wanted them, there would be, they would have a majority again. And I haven't been paying attention to politics, so I can't speak educatedly. That's not a word. Intelligently about the election at the moment. So, just noticed that. But what I was doing for election day, I got up early. I went out and I voted. And then I was doing a thing for DoorDash. DoorDash is like Skip the Dishes or Uber Eats. And they had a promotion going on. We were delivering pizza slices to polling areas, so that there was no hangry votes was the hashtag they were going with. No hangry votes from DoorDash. So I spent the day, my partner and I were running around doing, basically picking up all these slices at Pizzas, throwing them in the car, driving to these areas and handing them out. A lot of people are like, what do you mean free pizza? Like, it's a free pizza from DoorDash. Courtesy of DoorDash, take the pizza. It was fun. The worst part was that we were crushing it, so we ran out of the pizza way faster than we were supposed to, and then we would just get to a dingy little pizza, sit in there and like wait for 45 minutes for them to get all the pizza ready. So the worst part of the day was sitting in these scuzzy pizzas. Some of them were very nice, well lit. You ever go to a pizza? They have them out east, eh?
Yeah.
Still? Okay.
Yeah.
So you go to pizza, and it's like dimly lit, like they don't change the bulbs. So you're seeing this dark area, and you're like, what the fuck is going on in this area? It just feels like a rundown joint. The bathroom's got it's just the shit kicked out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's definitely not like it used to be. I remember when we would, hit up Pizza as kids, and it'd be like, what, $2 for a slice? And
Yeah, and it was made with
pizza.
real food.
Yeah.
The crust wasn't as cardboardish as it is today. It's not to shit on pizza, but it's not what it once was. And it's definitely like the dive. It's like the Canadian IHOP. We don't have IHOPs here, but like just the dive place where you go late at night, pizza. That's the one. But there was a few nice restaurants, and some of the people were really, really nice to us, like some of the employees. But anyways, I did that yesterday. I came home and I went and I got some whiskey. I didn't drink any yet, but I picked up some whiskey at the liquor store. And my pals there hooked me up with 2 empty bottles to make my infinity bottles. So wanted to talk about that very briefly. We were talking about that before we started the podcast, Matt, was that for anyone who doesn't know, I had only heard of this recently, so it's not like this is a thing I'm well aware of. I heard of it recently. It sounded like exactly what I needed to solve the particular problem that I was looking at having. I only wish that I had figured this out sooner, because I've had a few bottles that I've finished out of urgency. So an infinity bottle, guys. And Matt, feel free to ask any questions while we're chatting about this. And a lot of this is just what I understand. I'm not saying that this is all fact. A lot of it is what I understand. So that you guys know, if you have a nice bottle of alcohol, all right, predominantly whiskey is where this works, because again, vodkas, gins, rums, these are not necessarily very aged spirits. They're made and you can pretty much consume them right away. Mm-hmm. You don't go out and buy a $20 or 20-year-old bottle of vodka. You buy better premium vodkas, but they're not necessarily aged. It's usually whiskeys that are aged. Rum, I've seen a lot of rums that are starting to be aged, and I've seen the occasional tequila. But overall, it's whiskeys that are aged in the barrels. And the whole reason is that they get their flavor profile from the barrels that they're aged in. Blah, 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 blah. The point of that is when I buy these nice bottles, once you get, halfway to under halfway of the bottle left, it starts to evaporate. The air in the bottle, even if you got it corked, the air in the bottle starts to evaporate the spirit. So the idea is you have a lot less time to consume it. However, what an infinity bottle is that it's an opportunity for you to take the whiskey that you have left before it evaporates and basically dump it into a bottle of other whiskeys that you've got. Now, there are some rules to it in the sense that like you don't want to go mixing bourbons with scotches. You can mix a bourbon and a rye together, but a lot of these have, generally speaking, a overall character profile. But when you think, well, why would you dump all these whiskeys together? That's going to make them taste like shit. Well, keep in mind that in the spirit world, there's a lot of blends, especially in whiskeys. Mm-hmm. Like even a whiskey bottle that Matt and I were talking about this earlier, that says like 12 years old on it. Like I've heard this was a misunderstanding. So a long time ago, someone was saying to me like, oh, well, that they put 12 years old on it, but only a little bit of it has to be 12 years old. And that was the misconception this person had, was that the 12-year-old bottle only had like an ounce of 12-year-old. That's how you age it. It's like, that's not how it works at all. But I can understand the mistake that was made in thinking that. So the mistake that's made is a lot of people will see, and I think I've explained this to you guys before, single malt does not mean that they only use one kind of barley or whatever. Single malt is 2 different things. Single means it comes from one distillery. Malt means that they use malted barley. So that's what the 2 different things mean. So for example, a single malt, we'll use Glenfiddich as an example, the most popular bar rail. A Glenfiddich 12, the green bottle, that's saying when it says 12 years old, it doesn't mean that that's one barrel that was 12 years old. Now it's poured in this bottle. What it means is that the youngest barrel in that blend is 12 years old. Now, it's not to say that it's a blend as in like all different kinds, but that one distillery will use different casks that they have. And they'll mix them together to get the flavor profile of the Glenfiddich 12. And the 12 years old means that the youngest barrel in it is 12 years old. So they may use a 15-year-old barrel or an 18-year-old barrel and mix them all together until it becomes the flavor profile of the 12-year-old. So just like if you're drinking an 18-year-old barrel, the youngest barrel in that is 18 years old. Now, there's other companies that'll do blends, where it's not, if it's a blended malt, well, that means it comes from different distilleries. It's blended, not single. So it's the same idea. There's a lot of blended whiskeys. For everyone who doesn't know this, Johnny Walker is a blended Scotch, which means it doesn't all come from one distillery. It's a bunch of different whiskeys that are bought and blended together. It's Johnny Walker right on the bottle. It says blended Scotch whiskey. It means it's made of grain and malt barley, and it comes from different distilleries, and they blend them together until they get the taste profile of the Johnny Walker red or black or gold or green or blue. Right. So even that $300 Johnny Walker Blue is blended whiskeys from different distilleries to get that taste profile. So when someone goes like, well, why would you blend a bunch of your whiskeys together in this infinity bottle? Well, the whole idea is that rather than having, having to drink the whiskey, because you've only got, an inch or two at the bottom of the bottle, is that you can pour them into this infinity bottle. So if I have, I'm planning right now, I have 2 bottles, and I'm going to start a Speyside sort of Highland bottle and then an Isla bottle. So for people who don't know about Scotch, the Islas are very peaty. They taste like smoke. And then the Speysides and Highlands have more fruity notes and sweeter and things like that. So you wouldn't want to put your Islas and your Speysides together. You'll just get this weird sort of funk taste, and the smoke will overtake everything. So the whole idea is now I don't have to race through a bottle. If it's still more than half full, I can just leave it corked and it's going to last a while. Whereas because I got to a point where I'm like, I'm not opening any new bottles. I'm going to open 1 or 2 bottles or 3 bottles and finish them and only be able to drink that type. Now that I have these infinity bottles, what that means is I will end up with a special blend that only I have, in the sense that like once all my last ounces in there, I'll just pour it into this infinity bottle. It's going to last longer, and it's going to create a new blend, a new flavor profile. So I'm going to have one for Speysides Highlands. I'm going to have a different one for Islas. And then I'm going to have an infinity bottle for my bourbons. So all the different bourbons I have, if there's only a little left, back into this infinity bottle it goes. And you basically end up with this revolving flavor profiled blend, personal blend of these different kinds of whiskeys. So they're not in danger of evaporating, because your infinity bottle, ideally, it's going to take some time before I get enough of them to fill it up to this point, but ideally your infinity bottle will stay relatively full. And then you drink from it, and then you add more back to it. So you're basically just creating this different personal blend, but it's a nice whiskey, because you blend nice whiskeys together, they make nice whiskey.
Right.
So as long as you're starting, keep your bourbons together, keep your ryes together. I don't even know if I'd do one for a rye, to be honest. Oh, there's the dishwasher done. How about that, eh? So that's what I'm doing with Infinity. So I got 2 of my Infinity bottles yesterday. You can watch, Jesus Christ, how long is that song? It's like London Bridges. The fucking Dishwasher Symphony is playing in town today.
It's a happy little song.
It'll probably get edited out by Alphonics. It'll be just you and me talking about a song that no one hears.
Okay.
Please be over. You need the bathroom? Yeah. You go ahead. I'm just going to keep running my mouth about whiskey.
I just wanted to add to that before I go.
Yeah, please.
So when you're mixing these different whiskeys together, is there like a certain level of consistency that you're looking for, or it's just like kind of shoot from the hip, and then if you get something great, it's awesome for that day, and then next time, okay, what if you find something that you really like, and then you're like, fuck, how can I recreate that?
So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to only add 1 or 2 ounces.
Okay.
So like if I'm drinking something, like I've got a couple, you and I are going to drink some bourbons today, if you're cool with that. But I've got a couple bottles that have got about 2 inches left in them. I don't want to put that, like that's not in so much danger. This is what I understood, is that if you open a bottle, you got like 2-3 years to drink it. Which I've got bottles upstairs that I've had open for already 1.5 years. So I'm like, we might start wanting to drink these. But I have bottles too that I'm like, well, fuck. And I heard that once they're more than half empty, you got like 2-3 months to drink them. And I don't think they go bad, but the idea is that they start to evaporate faster when half the bottle's filled with air. So the whole idea is that with the infinity bottle, it's kind of like take the little bits that you have, and rather than being like, well, now I have to drink this, add them to the infinity bottle. So that bottle's almost always full once you get to that point. So it's safe. It's not like it's going to be evaporating. So as you're drinking the bottles that you have, once they start to get into that danger zone, you can just add them to your infinity bottle.
Okay.
So I don't know that I'm necessarily like when you ask about the taste profiles, I would say only that, you have your Speyside Highland bottle where they're more, vanillas and fruitier notes and things like that in the whiskeys. And then your Islas, which are smoky. Because I could put the Speysides and the Highlands together with the Islas, but that smoke is such an overpowering taste that you're just going to end up with that. So all those ones that you like for their characteristics are just going to get overpowered. So it's like, I'm going to have 2 different ones for the scotches, then bourbon at the same time. Like I looked about, hey, should I mix bourbon with like, just, you can fuck around with your own shit anytime you want. Like we can just take a little bottle and pour a little bit into glasses and make our own blends and see what we think of them. But there is something to be said for letting them sit. Right. So the guys who I watched a YouTube video on, they made a blend and they tasted it, but then they tasted it again the next day and they're like, yeah, now that it's had a chance to settle together and sort of marry together, it tastes even better. So I think the whole idea is just like, as long as you're keeping those types of whiskeys separate, you can mix a bunch of bourbons together and you probably end up with something really special. Like that's the thing, is it's almost like mixing quality with quality keeps it good. But if you're putting like Johnny Walker Red in with like a $200 Lafroig, and then you're like, oh, that's really fucking with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess this is the
Like you can't polish a turd essentially, right? If you're
yeah, exactly. And you know what? That's a perfect way of saying it, because somebody might be like, well, what if I put half and half and it'll make it taste good? It's like almost like, well, why would you buy an expensive gin and then mix it with President's Choice tonic? You know what I mean? You're tasting three quarters of that drink is the shit stuff.
Yeah.
Well, why did you spend the extra $20 on better gin if you're going to mix it with garbage tonic?
Right.
So there's not a drop in my Infinity bottles yet. All I did was get them, clean them. Like they had other labels of shit on them, but I scraped all the paper labels of. Now it's just these two nice clear bottles that will have in time two very nice scotches in them. So, yeah, there's that. Why don't I let you? Yeah, you want to hit the bathroom? Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a little commercial break here, guys. All right, and we're back. The bathroom breaks are over. I say like commercial break. We did 0 commercials. However, we may as well just parlay right into the sponsor portions, considering you guys have already been there for an hour and 10 so far. And I always say the time. So just in case anyone's ever looking at the time, they look down at the thing at the same time. They go, wait a second, that's not how long it's been. It's been more. I add post-production. I add the intro music. I add the little, the little shout out from some, comedian or colleague, a friend of mine, and then the music starts. So like, yeah, there's maybe usually like, there's the intro, all that stuff. There's maybe 2-3 minutes in addition. So if you ever look down and go, Josh says how it's been an hour and 9 minutes and it says an hour 13 or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, there's some post that gets added, but according to the recorder in front of me, all right, just so you know, that's what the time on the recorder says when I make those statements. All right. I know how to read. I know numbers. So I didn't talk a whole lot about EGLX, probably because there wasn't a whole ton of stuff. I do have a new, I don't want to say a new partner, but I definitely have somebody I want to give some shout outs to, but I don't have their stuff in front of me right now. And because we're burning through it so fast, I don't want to start them on this. So I just in case they happen to be listening this week, I will be talking about your product next week. It's a healthy energy drink. So they don't use, well, I'm going to talk about them a little bit, but they don't use taurine or caffeine in their energy drinks. It's actually ginseng based.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a Canadian company. They get their stuff sourced from, I believe, BC is where the ginseng farm is. And then, they get it made by Pepsi in Washington. That's where they bottle it and everything like that. And in the new year, they're going to have like a CBD version too. So a little anti-anxiety, whatever. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it. I've got some, they gave me a couple of cases. I've got some in the car, so if you want, I'll bring one out later on. Give it a try.
Very nice.
See what you think. But having said that, let's get right into the sponsors portion. My partners at portablepress.com, Uncle John's Bathroom Readers. This week, guys, I'm going to be reading from Robotica. Robotica, mechanical marvels and mind-melting machines of the past, present, and future. So the article I chose very hastily, since I'm barely back in the swing of things here at home, is an article called Shaky. All right. So I figured, you know what, the EGLX, there's all sorts of things being invented, new commerce and shit like that, new products, new, what do you call it? I want to say inventions, but robotics and things like that. So Shaky. All right. On that inevitable day when the robots overtake and enslave us, we'll look back to 1966 as the start of all. Jesus Christ. I am terrible. I still got these Invisaligns in, by the way, guys. They really fuck up the way I talk sometimes. Also, I can't read. So on that inevitable day when the robots overtake and enslave us, we'll look back to 1966 as the start of it all, at a little robot named Shaky. Created at Stanford University, Shaky was essentially the first thinking robot. It was the first machine capable of receiving a series of commands and then completing a task. This required a combination of technologies, including language recognition and computer vision. Though it was a success, Shaky was far from HAL 9000. I don't know what HAL 9000 is. Is that a reference to a robot in a book, or is that a real thing?
Not sure.
Fair. Commands had to be typed into Shaky's interface, and its functions were limited to things like moving from one room into another and turning on the light switch. And why was the mother of our future robot overlords named Shaky? Project manager Charles Rosen said the team chose the name because the machine shook like hell whenever it moved. Well, there we go. Hey, sorry, again, more messages coming in there. That's the story of Shaky, guys. Shaky was the first robot that could think and do shit. Woo, magical. From my partners at portablepress.com. Uncle John's Bathroom Readers. This comes from Robotica. Okay, Robotica is all about robots, machines, things like that. Mechanical marvels of mind-melting machines of the past, present, and future. So you guys can go to portablepress.com and check out all sorts of other shit they got going on. Other partners, of course, Absolute Comedy. Absolute Comedy has great shows all the time. I will be hosting at Absolute Comedy in Kingston next week. I think it's next week. Let me just go back to the calendar here. Always things going on with this here, fella. Yeah, next week. So as early as the day you guys get this. So you're listening to this on the 23rd, perhaps. I will be there from the 30th of October right till Saturday the 2nd. That'll be a great time. I will also be hosting at my home club here in Ottawa from November 12th until the 17th. So looking forward to that as well. And of course, recording my album, all you onesies know, recording my album at Absolute Comedy in Ottawa when I headline in January, the 24th and the 25th, those Friday and Saturday shows. So get your tickets now. Would love to have you guys live for that. But for all other shows and great things going on at Absolute Comedy, they do have great shows in Toronto, Ottawa, and Kingston. Check out absolutecomedy.ca. Absolute Comedy is the best live stand-up comedy from across North America, with locations in Kingston, Toronto, and Ottawa, Ontario. These comedians have been featured on Just for Laughs, Netflix, Comedy Central, CBC's The Debaters, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Conan, The Comedy Network, and much, much more. Go to absolutecomedy.ca to see this week's lineup. Planning a night out is easy with dinner and show packages available at all locations. Live comedy is a great choice if you're organizing a celebration, fundraiser, company outing, or corporate event. Want the show brought to you? They'll send comedians to your venue with performances tailored to your event, creating a night of laughs your guests will love and won't soon forget. So for showtimes, ticket prices, gift certificates, special shows, and more, head to absolutecomedy.ca. Again, that's absolutecomedy.ca for the best live stand-up comedy from across North America. And we're back. And did I forget anybody? I've got so many sponsors. I never forget them. And that's like the new thing now. Did I forget anyone? It's like a house cleaning thing. Last call. My partners at DK, guys. Dorling Kindersley. All right. And they got all sorts of stuff. I've actually got I've been doing 2 books lately because they have so many things coming out that I'm never going to get through them all unless I do them. And I figured, what better 2 books to bring out than when I had my chef friend here,
hey,
Matthew, with me. I got, guys, 2 different books. The first one is the soup book. All right. I asked for this one. In my old age, I'm really starting to enjoy soups, man. A good soup is fucking dope. Pour it in a bowl, spoon, and that's it. No fancy forks and knives, no garnishes, just soup it up, baby. And this book here, okay, is, first off, it looks gorgeous. All right.
It's a beautiful book.
Yeah. And I'm looking now, some of these are really elaborate. Okay. Like there's a fish soup with fennel. Like I don't love that there's not as many pictures in this as normal. You know, like I got to read 4 or 5 different recipes before I get a picture. I learn with my eyes. So as much as there's a lot of ones here, and I'm sure a lot of stuff, there's like, what is it? It's a harira, the Moroccan bean and lentil soup. There's a lot of like they've even got the ones here where you would put like the crust on it, what pastry crust?
Lamb and broth.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a puff pastry.
Yeah, and they actually separate. What I like about this one here, guys, they actually separate them by seasons. So when you're looking through the table of contents, it's not like, hey, just here's a bunch of random soups. They've got them separated for types of soups that you might enjoy in the seasons. And of course, in the initial beginning of the book, like all DK books, they don't just go, hey, it's a recipe book, here you go. They dive into a lot of the other things too. So they talk about garnishes and techniques and stuff like that too for soups and how to make stock. Which, by the way, Matt is actually going to elaborate on some of these things after we're done the book. So we didn't, he's got a bunch of really, really great stuff to chat with. I'm like, save it for the podcast. So this teaches you how to make fish stock, how to make chicken stock. You were actually going to talk about the difference between stocks and broths,
yes.
Correct? Yeah. So even how to prepare vegetables and stuff like that for souping purposes. So yeah, it's so you can just dive right into the book. If you like soups, if you're like me, I have a Vitamix, so I like making my soups in the Vitamix. Turn it on, blends everything together. But New England clam chowder is in here, guys. Potato clam soup. But like I said, it's a soup book. At the end of the day, I don't want to mess around with you, but it's super easy to read. The vegetables, a lot of clean space on the pages, which I like. The pages aren't overwhelmed with information. It's just nice information right at the top. Tells you how many it serves, how much the prep time, cook time, how long it will be good for frozen, which is a lot of recipe books don't necessarily tell you. Mm-hmm. They'll tell you can freeze it, but they don't tell you how long before you should use it, which is important. Again, as a chef, I'm sure that's very important in terms of rotation and things like
Absolutely.
That for stock. So, yeah, there's tons of really cool stuff in here, guys. If you like soups, if you're like me, check it out. There's one here called Lovage Soup. Is lovage a thing?
Lovage.
It sounds like a nice lovey kind of soup.
Lovage
If you don't grow
Feel
this
good soup.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's chicken soup for the soul.
There you go.
If you don't grow this old-fashioned herb yourself, ask around amongst your gardening friends or head down to the nearest organic food market to see if they sell it. So lovage might be a real thing. Melt butter in a large saucepan. Jesus.
Sounds good already.
I don't want to do yeah, right?
Butter. It's good.
There was one here I saw that was like pink, and I'm like, I want to see what the pink soup is. It's not borscht.
Pink soup.
It looked pink. The pictures here is flipping through it. Is that borscht? That looks like borscht.
It was like a beet cream soup or something.
Beet and apple soup.
I see.
That sounds good. Is there acidity in beets?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to
or
taste.
apple. Apple has a bit of
Yes.
acidity, right? So there's the acidity there.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, just called the soup book. Don't fuck around. Get it. If you like soup, why not get something that's going to just make all the guesswork come out of it? And there's over 200 soup recipes in here. So it's not like, chicken noodle and borscht and, gazpacho and that's it. No, you got to, I don't even know what half these words are. I've never heard of most of these things. So I can't wait to start fucking around with these, making some soups at home in the Vitamix. Soups for my partner. The soup book. That's it. That's all I have to remember. What was that soup book Josh was talking about? Boom. You nailed it. The soup book.
Yeah.
All right. Google it. DK from my partners. And here's the other one, guys. And Matt's also going to be talking about this. I talked to you guys recently about being interested in learning more about this keto diet. Well, my partners at DK sent me the Keto Sweet Tooth Cookbook. So it's 80 low carb. Sorry, I'm talking too much. These visualizations will trip you up. I feel like I'm jumping hurdles all the time. So the Keto Sweet Tooth Cookbook, it's 80 low-carb ketogenic dessert recipes for cakes, cookies, pies, fat bombs, whatever those are, shakes, ice cream, and more. Okay? So this one here, again, nice simple cookbook, lots of visuals. All right? As always, they're going to give you some information, all right, about what ketosis and things like that is. So they explain to you how keto works and then what you can look for and stuff. So using binding agents, using sweeteners, things like that are going to keep things good. The Keto Kitchen is a section, but I'm going to jump right into the whole cakes, muffins, pies, that kind of stuff. Oh, look at that. Look how much. Now to you, I've seen the posts that you have on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. You are no stranger to making elaborate meals at home.
Thanks, man.
And taking the time to plate things and make them look nice. But this vanilla cake with fresh berries, I would never go through that time and effort at home. Not at home. And I'm just cooking for me at home.
Yeah.
That's the thing that sucks too when you cook for just yourself. If I'm going to go through the trouble, I want to feed multiple bellies,
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Do you ever get like that? Like when you're cooking for just yourself? You go,
God, you should see what I cook for myself sometimes. Just like TV dinner in the microwave. Good to go.
Really?
Boom. Yep.
Fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's flourless chocolate cake. That's raising some eyebrows right here.
Flourless chocolate cake. Lots of eggs probably. And
So there's butter, dark chocolate, unsalted butter, salt, 6 eggs. There you go. Yeah, yeah. So you called it. Is that easy for you? You can see something, you're like, okay, and you know right away kind of what they've alternative.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it depends, like if I've made it or not, or something similar to it. I can look at something and say, okay, I know what flourless chocolate cake is. I know what usually goes in that.
Yeah.
So, yep.
There's a pumpkin cheesecake, which sounds kind of nice.
Nice.
What is pavlova?
Pavlova?
Pavlova, parlova.
Pav. Is it like a potato dish? Or,
I don't know.
Egg, worm, confectioners. Nope. Okay. This dessert was named for a Russian ballerina and features a delicious, light, and fluffy meringue covered in cream and fruit. This is my healthier take on recipe. Healthier. Okay.
Yeah, because that's the thing too, right? With keto, you can use fats and stuff like that. So it's not.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
So parlova, guys, it sounds like it's like a weird meringue kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. If you're like me and you're like, well, I don't want to cut out the best things in life, but at the same time, like I'm trying to lose some. There's tiramisu, right? Who doesn't know what
tiramisu?
That's a keto.
So freaking good.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Do you make it?
Yeah.
Is it tough?
Not so much.
No.
Nah. Once you know how to like put together a recipe, it's pretty standard. It's just
because I know that baking and cooking are two very different things.
Yeah, baking is more science based. I'd say cooking, a lot of chefs will kind of like fly by the hip.
Yeah,
but I mean there is a set recipe, but baking is you're weighing everything out. Like it's
because if you fuck around like your levels, you can't just like a little more of this, a little more of that. Like, you'll throw everything.
You can
off.
screw stuff up pretty quickly.
Creme brulee.
Creme brulee.
How hard is creme brulee to
custard? It's not too hard. It's it's just a set custard. So you have like stirred custards, like your pastry creams, and then creme brulee. It's usually creme brulee is maybe like 2 or 3 ingredients.
Yeah. So, and then you just roast the top.
Yeah, that's the brulee. So the burnt sugar.
And you just roast the top is what creates it, right? You're not
the caramelization.
You don't sprinkle something on top and then roast
sugar.
it. And that's why. But you sprinkle sugar on top?
Sprinkle sugar on top. Yep.
Okay.
It's burnt sugar, right? So creme brulee, burnt cream, but it's like the sugar that you put on top.
But I figured it was maybe like burnt in the sense that like it was just the custard burnt and the sugar from the custard itself is what creates the...
No.
So you have to put the sugar on top to make it hard like that.
Yeah, if you were to just torch the top, you'd get a lot of weeping from the custard itself because you're overcooking the eggs. You'll get like a layer of weeping on top, but you put the sugar on to create that kind of candy crust, and when you hit it with your spoon, you get that snap, and then you break into the delicious custard. Yeah.
Jeez, I should have you here for all the cookbooks that I review. Yeah, peanut butter cups. Look at that. Keto peanut butter cups. That looks good. Guys, the keto sweet tooth. If you're a keto cocksucker, you can get the keto sweet tooth cookbook. All right. Again, at dk.com in the States, add a /CA for my Canadian listeners, or just Google DK books. But these are 2 great books. I was super jazzed when I saw they were coming out. I can't tell you how much I like soups, guys. I am more than happy to just sit and, eat a pea soup or a chicken noodle or a rice and something or Italian wedding. There's a lot of great soups and stuff there. And then to be able to enjoy desserts, if you're keto, everyone's like, well, I can't have it because it's flours. There's an entire keto cookbook here available to you. So no excuses anymore, guys.
Yeah.
That's my partners, guys. Thank you to Portable Press, Absolute Comedy, and of course, DK. Check them all out, guys. Check them all out. I've given you the links. So Matt, we just talked about some of these books.
Yes.
What now, you made a list ahead of time. And you want to tell me the difference between some of the soup stuff and then some of the ketogenic. So I will give you the floor. And of course, I'm going to chime in with questions should I have any.
Okay. So, let's start with stocks and broths. So there's a difference there. So basically, a broth is... okay, so you have, let's say you're cooking chicken, right? And then you have the leftover carcass from the chicken.
Yeah.
So the bones, and maybe there's a little bit of meat on it. Okay, so a broth is basically you can utilize the whole chicken if you want.
Okay.
You're building up flavor within the broth, so you're not worried about clarity. You're not worried about broth is kind of like I guess like if you've had pho or faga.
Yeah.
That's like pretty much a broth, right? Okay. So it's got a lot of it has a lot of fat, mouthfeel in it. Whereas a stock is basically you're breaking down the collagen in the bones itself. So you don't want to have a lot of fat in your broth stock, your stock, because you're going to be removing a lot of that in the finished product. Okay. So, let's just say
like this murky, like broth is more murky and filled with other things.
Yeah.
And then the stock is more of like a thin.
Right.
Because I know that I know that a lot of like risottos and stuff like that will start with like stock.
Yes.
Right? They'll put like just the stock. So it's almost like just the flavor that you want. Or
yes, the essence, I guess, so to say. So I just want to like talk about basically what is a stock, how to build a good stock. Okay. So there's a couple things you can do. So you have your chicken carcass, right? Okay. You want to remove as much fat as possible. Okay. And so you're basically going to put your chicken in the water. And you're going to fill it up just to cover. Now, what's going to happen once you start cooking that chicken off? You're going to have some impurities from within the chicken that are going to float to the top. It's going to look gnarly. It's going to look like gray scrambled eggs on the top of your water.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So basically, there's 2 things you can do. You can keep going from that stage, or you can. It's called blanching your bones. You put the chicken in, and you bring it up to a boil. And then you get those impurities, you rinse it off, and then you go again, bring it up to a simmer. You don't want to boil your bones because that'll cloud your stock. So that's one. Okay. When you get that gray shit flowing at the top, that's your impurities. You want to skim it.
Okay. But leave the chicken in the water?
Yeah, leave it in on a simmer. And there's different times for different, like for poultry, it's about 4 to 6 hours. For beef, it's 7 to 9 hours. Because you're basically, what you're trying to do is you're trying to extract as much collagen as possible. And then you don't want to stir it either because that'll cloud it. You don't want to cover it.
Let me see if I understand correctly so far. Okay. So you got the chicken carcass, right? Like you could like little I go to Costco. I buy a rotisserie chicken. I pull all the meat off it.
That's
I'm
right.
happy with that. Make my chicken. Have my chicken dinner. The next day I have my chicken salad sandwiches or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And now I've got this carcass left. Okay. So I throw it in this pot.
Yep.
I try to clean off as much as I can. I'm not going to get
Yeah.
everything right. So
If you're making a stock, yes.
if I'm making a stock, so I clean off everything as much as I can.
This is not like for chicken noodle soup we're talking about.
No,
this
no,
is
no,
talking
no.
about a stock because this is going to be a basis for some of your sauces, and we can elaborate on that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because that was one of my questions was to be, so what is the difference between a broth and a stock? Not just in creation, but in terms of application. Like, why do I want a stock? Why do I want a broth?
Right.
But, so I take my chicken carcass in the water and I fill it, just to cover it in water?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just enough to basically
And
cover
then
it.
boil.
Yeah. No, you don't want to boil.
Initially?
If you're blanching the bones, yes. That's an option that you have. Blanching basically helps to get some of the impurities out.
Okay.
But you can take the other route where you're just you bring it up to a simmer or
And that
a
shit's
gentle.
still going to float to the top, right?
It'll still float to the top.
and I leave it in the water. I just skim that shit off the
yeah,
top. Okay.
and then you're basically trying to extract as much collagen out of the bones as possible. So that's
Okay.
why it takes time.
Okay. And then once it's, how long? 46 hours, you said?
Yeah, usually about 4 to 6 hours, and then you'll strain it usually through this is chinoise. So a China
Chinese?
cap, it's probably like the most racist kitchen terminology there is.
Oh,
but-
really?
Well, chinoise China. But anyway,
Well, it's not racist if
No.
it's Chinese.
yeah, I suppose.
I mean, Chinese noodles aren't racist. That's just the kind of noodles they are.
Yeah, I
but
suppose.
what is the chinoise thing?
Well, it's like a sieve essentially.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we call it China cap in the kitchen. Like there's okay, well actually there's a sieve and then there's the chinoise, which is like the China cap. So
Okay.
you basically you pour your stock in there and it catches the carcass and then all of the
chunky stuff or whatever.
Yeah, and then your stock liquid you capture that at
Okay.
the bottom, right? So
Right. And then, of course, a regular broth is like you just take the chicken out and leave everything together.
yeah, pretty much. That's what you can do. I mean, some people leave some of the carcass in the broth. It depends what they're eating, right? And they'll just
Right.
nibble pieces of the meat off the bone and stuff and just have at her.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I remember you telling me about the people who eat the guac in the lobster, which is disgusting to me, which is lobster shit, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, and then just eat it. Yeah, I'll eat your
It's like
shit.
butter. It reminds me of like avocado texture. It's
Yeah.
so delicious.
Their shit is delicious.
Every part of the lobster is delicious.
Oh, God, I hated it. I like the claw, the meat in the claw. I found the tail was rubbery.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy the rubberiness of the tail
Probably
meat.
overcooked. It feels rubbery.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Well,
it should have a little bit of bite, but it should be enough that where it has a give. You're not chewing on rubber here.
And it's funny because Crystal and I shared it.
Yeah.
We were both like, the claw was amazing.
Yeah.
Like the little bits that we were getting out of the leg wasn't bad. But then the tail was rubbery. And then they gave us our bill. It was like $50. I'm like, I'm okay to not like this expensive food. You
Yeah.
know? Like sometimes you're like, it's really expensive. You try it. You don't like that. But it's so good. I'm like, look, it's $50.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. Why would I? I'm glad I don't like it because if I did, now I've got this new $50 habit that I have to, you know. So it wasn't. I didn't hate it, but I was just like, ugh. So in terms of going back to the broth, now the broth you're not going to boil for 46 hours, right? You're basically just trying to like. I'm asking, not telling.
I mean, you can. I've seen some places that not here in Canada, but they've had broths going for months. They just keep adding to it and adding to it.
It
It's
just cooks
basically
forever.
keep building that flavor.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's just
But a stock you don't add to, right? Like once you have your stock, you leave that. And sorry, my brain's going all over the place because I have so many questions. With a stock,
yeah.
you're doing like now whatever animal it is. You do like beef stock, chicken stock, fish
Right.
stock.
Yes.
It's all about the bones, right?
Yes.
Okay. And with a broth,
Yes.
you can boil it. You're basically like, we leave the chicken, the meat, and everything. Like, 'cause you
Yeah,
get flavors
like chicken
of all
noodle
of
soup,
it.
right?
Yeah,
like broth.
yeah. It's flavors from all of it: the meat, the bones, the
Yeah.
fat, everything, and just
Yes.
keep it all in there. It's
Yes.
all delicious.
Super
But also with
hearty.
broth too, you can even flavor it yourself. If you're making a broth, right? You add salt or whatever. Like you
Yeah,
can
if
do
you
what
want.
you want.
Yeah.
Whereas again, going back to the stock, the whole idea is to not flavor it. Like you just want that.
Yeah, you want it in its purest form, and because basically what you're going to do with that stock afterwards is you're going to make your sauces like a velouté or
Yeah, I have no idea what
that's
that
like
is.
it's a mother sauce. Or you can use it as a basis for some of your soups.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you're making I don't know, cream of mushroom soup or something.
Yeah. I'm a big fan
you
of
love
mushrooms. Yeah.
But Okay, so here's a good example. Like if you're making like a chowder or something, right?
Yeah.
You'd have your fish base, your stock, and then you would build upon that
with the creams and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and
Okay.
you hit it with your roux just to thicken it up a bit. And
interesting. Yeah, like I said, I love soups, and I don't. Of course, I don't love every soup. It's like I'll give you two examples of popular ones: cream and mushroom. You lost me, not
Yeah.
you, but like you go to a lot of places.
mushroom.
Cream and mushroom is like one of the go tos.
Yeah.
and then at the same time, French onion. Another one is like cheese and onions, but it's not for me.
A
It's
little
too
bit of
much.
thyme, red
Too
wine.
much, right? See, like some people I love it. I watch people just big spoonfuls of onion. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm out. And that's the thing too, right? A lot of people think they're getting fancy when they cover like a chicken and cream of mushrooms. Oh, I had a cream of mushroom, aren't you? You're welcome. My secret. I'm like, oh, you just fucking ruined it for me.
Yeah,
with
not
that.
a
You know
fan
what
of
I mean?
covering chicken in cream of mushroom soup, because usually what happens is the skin underneath is still like gelatinous and gross, and like you bite into it and the skin kind of just like jiggles and pulls.
Oh, that's fucking gross.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I dig this. That's good to know. So the stock is good for bases,
Yeah.
for sauces and things like that. And then of course, your broth is almost. It's like it's already ready to go. You just add your shit to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There was another thing that you had there too. We were going to talk about the keto stuff. We were
Yes.
talking about the fats and sugars and things like that. If I'm not mistaken, did we cover the soup stuff that you want to talk about?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, unless you had some more questions. I mean, there's so much you can do with soup, and there's so many different variations. Like you can make soup with a beer base, like a beer and cheddar soup, and like there's
Interesting.
so many different things you can do with soup. And I just want to take a. Can I take a peek
Yeah,
at this?
of course, absolutely.
Book right quick and just elaborate on it really quick. So.
That's interesting. Beer and cheddar soup.
Oh, and a little cool tidbit, if I can add, of
course,
just for anybody who's working with the recipe. One of the things that I found when I first started culinary was converting my recipes. Now, like if we want to half it or something, that's usually pretty simple. You just cut the recipe in half. But let's say just for shits and giggles, let's say you have like your recipe is for 4 people, right? And you want to convert that recipe to like, let's say 1, or if you want, okay, we'll take an odd number or something. Okay, like 9, and you want to convert it to maybe like 5 or something. There's a really cool formula that we were taught in culinary. For people who already know this, cool, but a lot of people in my industry didn't know it, and I wish someone told me. Okay, so like let's say your recipe yields 9 people, right? So there's a cool formula you can use, and you take your new yield. So the new amount that I want to have, okay, I only want to make it for 5 people, right?
Okay.
So I take that 5 and then my new yield and then divide it by my old yield, which is the 9. And I'm going to get what's called a conversion factor.
Okay.
And basically every ingredient in that recipe I multiply by the conversion factor, and it'll give me the proper amounts now for those ingredients to serve 5. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if you're like, how much less do I use for 5? You divide there.
And then it'll give you exactly like each ingredient what you would.
You divide it 5 times 9.
No. Okay.
Divide.
Yeah,
You said,
your new yield, the new amount you want, and then you divide it by the old amount. So if it serves 9, well, you take your new amount that you want it to serve 5. You divide it by the 9. You'll get what's called a conversion factor, and then each ingredient in that recipe you multiply by the conversion factor to get the new amount.
Right. So you don't have to be like, well, I'm just gonna make a fucking shitload and freeze the rest.
Yeah,
Find
exactly.
what you need.
Exactly.
For that. That's cool.
So
that works.
cool
Hey, man,
tidbit.
I dig that. Makes it a lot easier. Now we were talking before that doesn't work for baking though.
No, it can work for baking.
Really?
Yeah, like let's say if you have like, okay, this recipe.
So even though
yields-
the things are so important, because someone told me that like when it comes to baking, you can only ever double. You always have to double. You can't just be like, well, 1.5. It's like, oh no, you always have to double because otherwise the numbers are off.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, there's like there is another like bakers have, that's a whole nother realm. Like they have their certain ways and mathematical formulas, but when we were learning about baking and whatnot, I mean, we could apply the same formula to that. I mean, so if you have something that yields like 16 liters of sauce, like blueberry sauce, and you only need like 10 liters, you can do that. You can apply that. And same with like, let's say if you're doing flour, you know what I mean, for a recipe.
Yeah.
Sure, you could change it up. That's not a problem.
Makes sense to me. Like I'm like,
yeah.
if you make this much, it makes it's like how does the flour know that? Hey, wait a second, I feel like I'm a cup short here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it makes sense to me, but I've had bigger. No, you gotta. I'm like, okay, but maybe that could just be people like hard nosed traditions. Like no, you gotta knock on the wood on the way in and then kiss the rolling pin or whatever.
And, like
it is.
the most accurate way when you're doing a recipe though is to always weigh. Weighing something out is the most accurate way, and it's going to be the most consistent.
Nice.
So
I like that. In terms
Except for liquids, sorry.
liquids?
Certain liquids you can't really weigh. You have to measure in volume, but
Right.
that's a whole nother. Anyway.
Well, in terms of the keto thing,
Yes,
what's
keto.
your experience with the keto? Because we did the keto cookbook as well.
Keto is really interesting. It's one of those things like I could be wrong, but it's all about ketones and cutting out sugars and certain carbs, and your body basically goes into what's called ketosis.
Mm-hmm.
So you start producing ketones, and your body uses that for energy. So yeah, that's. I'm not.
Are you guys seeing a lot of that in the East Coast?
Yeah, the keto diet does seem to be becoming increasingly popular, especially for health. And if you're trying to lose a lot of weight in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But I think it can also be a lifestyle diet. Well, I don't know if it's really a diet if it becomes a lifestyle choice. But I think one of the things too that...
One segment. Sorry about that gang minor hiccup. The joy of living in a house with fucking roommates and everyone needs to move their cars and everything like that. I got boxed out last night. Kamar, start parking behind Jay when you know you're leaving in the morning. My roommate listens to this. Yeah. So, okay. We got a bunch of messages coming in here. You were saying, my friend, about the ketosis. If you're looking to lose a lot of weight fast, ketosis is one option because you're basically training your body to burn fat versus carbs because your carb intake is like super low.
Right. So yeah, something I want to add to that a bit. One thing that I found was very important when you're doing ketosis. Sorry.
No worries, dude.
Is to know that, okay, so if you are eating more fats in your diet, make sure it's healthy fats, because I see a lot of people going into keto and they're just loading up on all kinds of shit. Like this is just from my experience, but like, if you're in keto and you're slamming back bacon and if you're fucking, eating all kinds of prime rib and this and that, it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. You got the idea down, but what's that doing to your liver? Because that's a lot of unhealthy fats that's being pumped through your liver, and your liver is going to have a hard time processing that. So if you're going to do keto, try and stick to the healthy fats: omega-3, salmon, avocado, olive oils, nuts. That's going to be great for you. That's going to still allow you to go into ketosis,
right?
But you're going to be nourishing yourself as well. You're not going to be putting a lot of fucking garbage into your body,
right?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sugars, right? Unnatural, processed sugars. That's cut that out. And even artificial sweeteners, they say that can wreak havoc on your gut.
I don't touch that shit, to be honest with you. Like every time I think somebody had said to me, a long time ago, I was already kind of like this because I heard probably 2 decades ago that like aspartame gives you like it causes Alzheimer's and shit like that because it's like it's not sugar, but it like tricks your brain into thinking something sweet. And when you're getting it, and everyone's like, well, it's nothing, it doesn't hurt you. It's like, yeah, but you're getting it in small doses every day when you're drinking it in your Diet Coke, and then it's in your chewing gum, and then it's in your water flavorer because you don't like to just drink water. So it's like now you're just constantly taking in aspartame. And you're like, okay, well, at least it's not sugar. I'm not getting fat. It's like, yeah, but you're trading a real thing. Sugar is not great for you, but it's real. And you're trading it for a chemical.
Yep.
Right. And then people are like, why it's cancer? So it's like, because we're putting chemicals in our bodies all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. So I've been a good bitch about not fucking taking artificial sweeteners and stuff like that. And it's the same thing. It's honestly, it's the same. This is the point someone made a few years ago that I was going to say earlier. This is me always going off road. Is someone said, if you look at the ingredients in, like, for example, mayonnaise, if you look at the ingredients in mayonnaise, then you look at the ingredients in light mayonnaise, it's like, why is there 27 ingredients in the light mayonnaise and all unpronounceable chemicals? And then it's just like real mayonnaise is like eggs and oil.
If they're cutting out one, I guarantee they're adding another. Maybe they're adding more sugar in that light mayonnaise, or maybe because if they're cutting out a fat, they're going to add in a sugar. If they're cutting out a sugar, they're going to add in a salt. So it's a It's a double-edged sword, triple-edged sword, essentially sometimes.
Or you're taking that real shit and you're putting in a chemical. Hey, it's less calories. It's like, but it's less days on this earth probably too.
Yeah. Exactly. Actually, just a little funny thing. Yesterday I was making some it's kind of tea. I got some really cool tea from David's Tea. Anyway,
not an official sponsor.
Yeah, there was turmeric in it, and like basically, I made everything in the kitchen at home. It was yellow, and Mom goes, I don't know how you can put those that turmeric in your body. The colors of it, like it just imagine what that's doing to your insides. I'm like, Mom, do you know how much food coloring is in shit?
Yeah,
I'm like, you would eat that before you'd eat, and she's like, oh,
and turmeric's so good for you,
big time,
so good for you,
big time. But that's how like kind of like. You know what I mean?
Our
like misinformed we are. And one more thing I want to add to the keto, if I may.
Please.
So it talks about carbohydrates, and you want to cut back on your carbs. But I think a lot of it has to do with the types of carbs that you're eating. So if you're eating simple carbs, like such as white potatoes, pastas, your body is basically breaking them down really fast. Mm-hmm. So you're getting that insulin spike. Whereas a complex carbohydrate like sweet potatoes and certain other things that you can eat that are carbs, they're not going to spike your blood sugars as much.
Right. Oatmeal's like that too, right?
Yeah, that kind of like real like no sugar added, just oatmeal. It levels out your glucose levels during the day. So that's another thing too. So if you're going to have carbs, it's okay. Just don't overdo it. Don't like eat a loaf of white bread. But just make some healthier options, like try some whole wheat or, and there is a difference. Some people say.
Is there?
Yeah, some people say, oh, it's fucking whole wheat. What's the difference? But there is a difference.
Well,
because
I've looked at the carbs and everything like that on them. So I go like, okay, so like 2 pieces of white bread I thought was way worse. They're like, oh, it's loaded with sugar. But you look at like 2 pieces of Wonder white bread versus 2 pieces of Wonder brown bread, and they both have 190 calories. And you're looking at like the fibers. I'm like, this is it's almost identical.
But you're getting the whole wheat. You're not getting all that nutrients stripped away from it. You're getting the whole wheat itself. Do you know what I mean?
But wouldn't it say on the nutritional information, like, wouldn't I be getting more fiber and less sugar or something?
You should be getting more fiber if you look at it.
I'm gonna have to look deeper next time, because I remember just looking at them going, okay, which one's better? And then it's like, oh, 190 fucking calories and 190 calories. I'm like, well, what's the difference? I think I looked deeper, but I mean, I'll double check. Onesies, if you want to get the inside scoop, send me an email. Tell me that you want to know how this cliffhanger ends in terms of the white versus brown bread. And I'm just going regular. I buy like sprouted grain, whole, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think just the generic white versus the generic brown. I'd be interested to know what the difference is.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe too, if you're looking at the vitamins and minerals in it, you'd see like there's probably more beneficial vitamins and nutrients in the whole wheat versus the white.
Yeah. I don't even eat the white bread. I actually find white bread boring now. When I was a kid, it's like all you want to eat.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, what's,
super doughy. It's like rolling it up and eating a ball of
dough. It's all garbage. I can't believe how obvious it was, but like Jim Gaffigan had a bit a long time ago about how like everything is just bread at a pizza place. They're like, all right, you get your pizza, and then we have your breadsticks, your garlic bread, and then we have your cinnamon sticks for dessert. And you're like, it's just bread with on stuff, and then foods. Bread, and then this is more bread with this cheese on top, and then bread with this, and then bread on that, and you put bread, and it's like, it's all it fucking is bread. Yeah. So many calories, so many carbs, sugar. Right at the end of everything, it's just fucking sugar.
But they'll sell it as like a healthy option. Like you're getting your food groups, you're getting your dairy, and you're getting your carbs, and you're getting your tomato, your vegetables, and like this is healthy. Someone said to me like, "Oh my, pizza's good for you." I'm like, "What?" It was my uncle. He's like, "No, pizza's healthy." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "It's healthy. It's got all 4 food groups. You got your vegetables, your dairy, your meat, and your." I'm like, you mean like? Like, just because it has those things doesn't mean that those are good for you. Yeah.
Like the food, who even talks about the food groups anymore? You know what I mean? It's like, it's part of this, but I thought eggs were dairy.
Not to knock on pizza. Like I might get a lot of, hate on that, but no, everything in moderation, right?
Yeah.
And eggs. Yeah. They say, oh, eggs are bad, right? No, like mayonnaise is actually good for you.
Is it?
Apparently. That's what my dietitian told me. She's like, yeah, mayonnaise, it's great.
Is she fat?
No, she's not fat.
My big thing is like I saw a fat personal trainer at Good Life. And I'm like, how would I hire you? The other ones are supposed to be like, man, you got to stay focused. You got to stay. I'm like, you're clearly not buying what you're selling. Why are you doing it then? If it's so fucking, you got to stay disciplined. You're not doing it. I said it's like an atheist priest. He doesn't believe in God. He was like, guys, look, God said, and you're like, how the fuck are you pitching this to me when you don't even buy it?
Yeah.
So it's just something I'm saying. So if you have like a nutritionist who's like a fat fuck like me,
Yeah.
and you're just like, should I be eating mayonnaise there, Martha?
Yeah.
Is that that's good, it's delicious. She's wiping her corners for doing a fish sandwich.
So I mean, to take out of that, even if you don't want to go,
I'm gonna keep making fun of your nutritionist.
That's okay.
I feel like you want to sidestep it. No, I'm kidding. You're like, anyway, so I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna need you to tell 3 Martha jokes. I assume she's not named Martha, but it was funny to me.
Okay, so healthy, cut out sugars, cut out unhealthy fats, and stick to complex carbohydrates, and just
what are some examples? Like you said sweet potato, and you said oatmeal. What are some other examples of complex carbohydrates?
Oh, dude, I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah, I'm still kind of learning about this whole complex carbohydrates deal. So yeah, I don't know everything.
I was making sweet potatoes. I was making these little decent little try to lose weight meal prep things for a while where I would do I would bake chicken in like a lemon. I put a little bit of olive oil and then like lemon on it.
Yep.
That was about it. And I would use Italian spice.
Really delicious.
Because there's like no calories in the Italian spice. So I put like a little Italian spice, a lemon, no butter or any of that shit, and then I'd bake it in the oven. Just a plain ass chicken breast.
Yeah.
Then what I would do is I would put the chicken in, chop up the chicken, like cube it or whatever, put it in the glass lock. I would put broccoli in with it, just regular old broccoli, and then I would cube and bake sweet potato. So I put a little bit of olive oil on it. I put a little cinnamon on it, actually. It was kind of nice.
Cinnamon, nutmeg, or allspice works too for sweet potato. Yeah.
And then that was it. So that would be my meal. It'd be like sweet potato. So I'd have my complex carbs or whatever. I'd have my broccoli for my greens and my veg.
Yeah.
And then just chicken for protein.
Dude, that's
plain
good.
Chicken
That's great.
I was doing it for a long time, but the problem I did, and this is another thing too, which I'm sure you learn as you know when you're cooking, is I would make that up and I would do like 8 chicken breasts. So I would get like 10 meals out of doing it at once. So I go to Costco and I buy the 8 breasts. I cook it all at once. And the problem is I couldn't eat it fast enough. So I'm eating like 1 or 2 of these a day. By day 6, the chicken has got that jelly somehow, like the grease of the jelly's on the side of it. The broccoli's starting to go. And you're like, okay, well, I got to make half of this next time, half the amounts or whatever. So you start to learn like how long shit will last.
Yeah.
Chicken, when it's cooked, how long is it good in the fridge for?
Chicken, I'd say no more than 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seafood, 3 days.
Yeah. It's worse.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you sick afterwards, or it's just not as good.
Well, basically, the longer it goes, the more chance for bacteria and pathogens to take root and kind of cause you harm.
Right.
So you want to make sure that after, a certain point, you're not going to eat that chicken if there's slime on it or
the slime. Rinse it off. That's what I got. That's what I sink for. I'm doing very well. Yeah. I got a sink in almost every room in the. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Well, that's the thing I was doing, right? I was being cheap. I'm like, well, can't be that bad for me.
My suggestion, something that might really work for you, is get into sous vide. That's
sous vide.
Yeah, it's basically immersion cooking. You're vac packing your
I know.
meals.
Okay, vacuum packing.
Yeah, but the thing with that is you can vac pack and freeze it, and your chicken will last like months in the freezer. It's not going to get freezer burnt. So if you want something quick and on the go, or just set it and forget it, you just pull it out of the freezer, plunk it in the sous vide, and then they have it now where you can.
Oh, a sous vide, is that the thing that like reheats it for you?
Yeah, like you can actually cook with it.
Sous vide, that's boiling.
Sous vide, not boiling. It's like you're immersing the food into liquid, but it's sealed.
Right, but it's like when you buy like the smoked meat packs from Costco. It's like all vacuum sealed. You just drop it. You're boiling. It's like bag boiling.
Yeah,
whatever,
but
right?
Okay, yeah, that's kind of basically what it is. But with this, you can actually control the temperature. So if you want, a certain level of doneness on your steak, you can hone in on that exact amount, and it won't go any higher than that. So if you want mid rare, you can get perfect medium rare. You're not in
a bag.
Yeah. And what happens is like, okay, if you're cooking a steak on the grill or something, you want it mid-rare. Well, the outside of the steak, the very outside might be mid to mid well, whereas the center will be mid-rare, right?
Right.
With this, it's consistent all the way through. And then all you can do, if you want a nice sear, you want that Maillard reaction, you just basically, once you're done, you just sear it in your pan on each side for 2 seconds, and then you get a bit of that caramelization, right? But your steak is consistent all the way through at that exact doneness.
Interesting. So before I vacuum seal them, I don't have to cook them. You don't cook them and then vacuum seal them. You take the raw thing, throw it in there, boom.
Vacuum seal it. Yeah.
Vacuum seal
you can
it.
add a bit of herbs. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah, you can basically just put your food in there and then add some rosemary or something for chicken.
It's like a deep fryer, but it's not fat. It's water.
Yeah. You're basically cooking it in its own juices. So
that's interesting. Are they expensive rigs to get started?
You can find one on Amazon for like $100.
Interesting. And it's just like you can't use your own boiling pot because you're not
actually, you
controlling
can.
the temperature.
You can. If you've ever seen those, like, I guess they're infrared cookers or induction or whatever, the countertop burners.
Okay.
You can use those are good because you can actually control like to the set amount that you want to cook. Like if you want 350, you can actually set it to 350. And some of them even have a thermometer that you can put right in the water. But if you're just doing it on the stove, you can definitely do that. Just get yourself a little digital thermometer or something, a little thermometer. And then once you get up to the temp of the water that you want, take a Ziploc baggie, squeeze some air out of it, put your, make sure you have your product in there or whatever that you want to cook, and then go that way.
Do the sous vide thingies, do they sell you the vacuum seal thing too, or is that separate?
That's separate.
Okay, so this thing's job is just to get the water to a certain temperature.
Yeah.
The vacuum sealing and all that shit was something
Yeah,
different.
like if you just want to get the sous vide machine, you don't need the vacuum sealer. You can just get the sous vide machine and then, like I said, Ziploc bags or sandwich bags and put your food in there and try and squeeze out as much air as possible because air is going to make the food float, right? You want to squeeze the air out so it'll sink a bit.
Right.
And cook, so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have to have more of this conversation so I can learn. We're going to do the sous videing in the future. I'll give it a try, man. It doesn't sound hard. I could fuck around. I could try it on my own without buying the machine first by fucking around with hot water.
Exactly.
Right? And just boiling. Can you make sous vide
Josh
eggs?
fucking around with hot water. Uh-oh.
Be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Oh, sort of a big stretch here, guys. We're doing this in the morning, so we're getting a little more into the day. Can't believe how quickly the episode went.
Yeah.
Nice. Dude, I'm so glad that you did this with me.
Thank you.
What was it like, your first one-man podcast experience?
Good.
Yeah?
It's great.
Was it everything you thought it would be?
And more.
And more.
Yes.
All right, gang. Well, thank you to my partners as always. Thank you, Matt, for doing this with me. I hope your trip is fun so far to the nation's capital. And you and I are hanging out all day, so we have a bunch more in our future. But I hope you guys enjoyed the episode with Matt and myself. Yeah, and do me a favor, onesies. Send me those emails. Let me know how my ignorance is, and let me know if you have any thoughts on any of the stuff we talked about, or if you want to challenge Matt on any of the stuff that he said, because he knows some stuff. I like how a lot of humility. You're like, I don't know everything, I'm learning, but I like that. Some guys come in like this is I'm the authority on this.
Hey, the second that you say you know everything is the second that you stop learning.
Yeah.
So I am always open to learning new stuff, and that's part of being a chef is growing as
Absolutely. You have to. You have to. You can't know everything all the time. And like you said, it's safe as dead. As soon as you think you know everything, well, you're toast.
Yeah. And if we're wrapping up here, can I give a shout out?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I just want to give a shout out to my fiance, Leah, and our 3 kids, Christian, Cole, and my little girl, Ava.
Nice, man. Yeah, absolutely. You're more than welcome to. There was another thing I was thinking of plugging too. And let me ask you this real quick. Mm-hmm. If you were to get a comedy album, would you prefer to have a CD, a physical CD, or like a download code?
I'm old school. I like CDs, man.
Okay, cool. I'm glad to hear, because I'm saying, like, when I record my album, I'm trying to figure out, do I put it out on a CD? Does anyone even want it? It's like my car is a 2019. It doesn't even have a CD DAC, so I couldn't even put it in there. But some people, like, if I'm going to buy something at a comedy show, like, I want to walk away with something just like a little card. Yeah, so something just you can sign it. It's like, I like the idea of having it. So some people are like, why don't you just do both? I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But no, wicked. I appreciate that, dude. And thanks for doing this with me. We're going to have so much fun today. I can't wait. We've got so much ahead of us.
Awesome.
But I had a great time with you on the episode. Onesies, I will talk to you again soon.
Peace.